Hey everybody, welcome to the Hang Up. This is I'm Matt. This is my show right here on the line. It's a call-in show, so you'll be able to call in 720-619-2288. There's also a link down below. And because I'm a big old godless heathen that tends to focus a lot on religious issues, although this show tends to focus on political issues as much or more, we will still put theists first. Tonight's guest is Alyssa Ljub, host of another show here on the line, Chewed Gum, which focuses on the intersection between religiosity and purity culture and ideas like that, and women's issues in the real world. She's also a reality TV superstar, sex coach, and all-around great person. So you guys are in for a treat, as always. I've been an activist or quasi-activist or spokesperson on behalf of secular communities for over 20 years. And I've learned a lot. Mostly, I've learned how much I still need to learn on a number of different issues. I try to be aware of how the world might work differently for me than it does for other people. And not just, oh, I'm an atheist. How does the world treat atheists? But no, recognizing that I am advantaged in many different ways. And I try to recognize that people of different societal and wealth classes are going to be treated differently in society. People of different races and genders are going to be treated differently. And people with different physical and intellectual abilities are going to be treated differently. And that's something that, when I say treated differently, I mean by everybody. There's nobody out there, at least nobody I'm aware of, that has managed to fully corner the market on being decent to everyone at all times and striving for and enacting justice and equality or equity in the world. We're all going to do it. So it's not just about the system. It's about people. Because, by the way, in a place like the United States, where we have a participatory government, that means you can be elected, I can be elected. And so we are the government. The government isn't some entity that sits out there with its own baggage that is different from the rest of us. No, it is the distilled, high octane version of the baggage of every one of your neighbors and all the family members and all the people that you blocked on Facebook and everything. I was going to say that as a humanist, I feel an obligation to pay attention to those differences. But as I was writing that sentence, it occurred to me that it may be the other way around. It may be that because I feel an obligation to pay attention to those differences, I use the humanist label. Because if humanism tomorrow suddenly becomes something entirely different, I will continue to feel an obligation to pay attention to those differences between people until such time as somebody can show me a better way. Some might call it woke. Ooh, run away, he's woke. Somebody, we can get into labels like woke, we can get into topics like privilege or social justice, but no matter what you call it or what you label it, what I'm talking about is striving to ensure that not everyone is equal, but that they are all treated equally and valued equally with regard to rights, respect, and access to resources. No two people of any category are actually equal. That's silly. We're talking about things in terms of ideals. It's about equal opportunity. It's about removal of bias. It's about justice being blind, not caring who you are or where you came from or who your parents were or anything else. It's this event occurred. What is the law on this? Let's address it and deal with it. It's about ensuring that societal roles, if not perfect, are striving towards an elimination of injustice or bias for or against groups and individuals. We don't have to do things just because we've always done it this way. Men don't have to wear pants and women have to wear skirts. None of those little caveats that we built up in order to kind of control society and make it fit the comfort level of the people at the time, none of them are written in stone. None of them. We should be, although I'm glad we're mostly not, naked. We should just be, if you want to go with what nature provided us, this shirt wasn't provided to me by Mother Nature or God. I just realized I'd rather not offend anybody. I kind of like to be warmer, especially in the wintertime. And so I'm going to wear a shirt. Plus, I make the shirt look good, so why not wear it? Speaking of good, Renee Good was murdered last week, and I gave the initial details at the top of last week's show. Since then, we've learned even more, and we have seen this gross injustice from many different angles. And we've had experts in law enforcement and experts in the law in general come forward to offer their views. The short version of what we know now, apart from the government is obstructing investigation into this, the short version is that the individual who shot her was an ICE agent, not a police officer. Neither he nor the person trying to open her car door or order her out of her car had any authority to do either of those things, absent a warrant. She was polite and smiling and said something akin to, "It's okay, dude, I'm not mad at you." And that agent was filming with his cell phone in his right hand because Homeland Security needs content for their propaganda. And he walked in front of and stopped in front of a running motor vehicle, which is a violation of all the best policies and procedures. It's an absolute no-no. You're not supposed to do that. There's a reason why officers approach from the back, from the side. You just don't do that. There's a reason why they want you to turn the vehicle off. But he stopped in front of the driver's side edge, a few feet in front of her. And as she started to back up, in order to turn her wheels to the right to leave, he switched his cell phone from his right hand to his left hand to continue filming as he drew his weapon. Before her car had moved forward 3 feet, while he was in position to see her face and to see that her hands were on the steering wheel, turning that wheel to the right, which is the exact opposite of what he would see if she was driving towards him in a threatening way. Before that car had moved 3 feet, he had fired the first shot directly into her face. Before her car had moved a full car length forward, he had fired 2 more. And then, as he was holstering his weapon, he said, "Fucking bitch." Renee's wife was there and had filmed the agent and lightly taunted him, as people are going to be doing a lot more of. I think the taunting is going to get way more than light. She wasn't able to get into the vehicle, so she had to stand there as this individual shot her wife in the face, holstered his weapon, and called her a fucking bitch. As she's standing there wondering, is she alive? Was she hit? Is she dead? What's going on? I can't believe this. There are no thoughts. You're in a complete state of shock. This isn't something anybody outside of the military trains for. And even military people can't properly train for it. You can just prep as best you can. I spent 8.5 years in the United States Navy. I never saw anything like this. They do their best to train you, but it's not like being in the Army or being in the Marines where you are expected to possibly see more combat. But even those people, you don't know how they're going to deal with it until they're there. She went from laughing and filming the officer and taunting him to watching her wife get shot in the face, hearing her get called a fucking bitch. And there were many other things that were incredibly mishandled, including not letting a physician on scene attempt to render aid. We still don't know the full details. We don't know how badly she was hit. We don't know the order of the shots. We know she's dead. There was probably no opportunity to save her life, but we don't know that. I haven't seen any autopsy or coroner's report. And what's weird is over the last week, the country has become divided between people with basic dignity and people who understand the law and the limits of ICE, and MAGA hate mongers who just keep comparing this to Charlie Kirk's killing. I kid you not. The most common things I've seen posted are, were you this upset when Charlie Kirk died? No, I absolutely wasn't. But I will say, Charlie Kirk didn't deserve to die. The person who murdered him should face the full force of the law. And the person who murdered Renee should also face the full force of the law. Are you fuckers willing to say that as well? Because so far, not one of you has. Not one of you people who brought up Charlie Kirk or tried to compare it to that, not one of you, when I've asked, is willing to say that individual should be prosecuted. Instead, what quite a few of you, and shockingly to me, what quite a few women have been saying is that she brought this on herself. She should have followed instructions. She should have listened to those officers. She put herself and her wife at risk. It's her fault. These disgusting people are using an argument that is functionally identical to blaming a victim of sexual assault for dressing too slutty. They had it coming. I'm not going to sing it. They had it coming. They got no one else to blame. If they'd have shut up and followed orders, a round wouldn't have entered their brain. I wrote it thinking I could let me just riff off Chicago and try to make some levity in here, but I can't. It's beyond disgusting. And the best meme I saw this week about all of this was this. The post that said, he didn't shoot her because he was afraid. He shot her because she wasn't. This fragile little man-child with a gun was irritated that a woman dared to stand up to him and not do what he said. And he decided before she had even started pulling forward that he was going to teach that fucking bitch a lesson. I don't know if he would have shot a guy. He might have. They are treating everyone awfully. We may be getting closer to equality in that none of us fucking matter and none of us have any privilege left except for the people working for Trump. If you're not MAGA, you can just abandon any notion of any privilege or standing you had at all. They don't care about the due process. They don't care about the law. They don't care. What they want clips that they can use to get the dudes that sit around jerking off to Soldier of Fortune magazine to go, yeah, that's what I want to do. Let me go join ICE. And it's absolutely awful and obvious. And right up to the president. The president blatantly lied. Oh, shock. That's never happened except every fucking second of every fucking day for the entirety of his existence. You've got Fox News reporters and other awful right-wing MAGA reporters and the ministers of propaganda calling her a lunatic, a domestic terrorist, deranged. She had pronouns in her bio. She might have been a lesbian. Why on earth would they bring up all those things if it weren't for the fact that they're trying to erase everybody who's queer, everybody who's not on the right, everybody who doesn't fit their little Christian fascist Project 2025, let's get rid of all the people who aren't doing what we want community. I like to talk about the difference between how people in the United States experience their interactions with these Proud Boys, Soldier of Fortune, military and police academy rejects when they decide to abuse their power. I see so many of these folks who are blaming the victim, identify as Christian. Are there Christians who understand due process? Are there Christians who don't want to see citizens of the United States or non-citizens killed in the street so that someone can get content? The right can watch the liberal tears, and they can pretend that Renee Good and Charlie Kirk were even remotely comparable. Oh yeah, well you do it too. Both sides are bad. Bullshit. Neither side is perfect. They are not remotely the same. And if you think we would have the military violating Posse Comitatus and going into cities, and by the way, why are they in Minnesota and not in Texas? We actually have a fucking border here where there are people coming across. Oh, that's right. It's because the governor of Texas is a fan of Trump, or at least a fan of what the administration's doing. And they're just going to comply. So your rights here in Texas are already shit. But if you think there's a serious immigration problem, and by the way, now they're saying they're going to go door to door. That's completely illegal. I should just fucking get that tattooed on my head. That's completely illegal, because that's been what I've been screaming since these motherfuckers took office. They don't give a shit about the law, and nobody, not the Republicans, not the Democrats. Marjorie Taylor Greene got her money, whined about Epstein, and fucking bolted. Fuck you. By the way, haven't forgotten about the Epstein files, and I won't, no matter how many of us you kill. Until you kill me, I will keep talking about it, and I will keep pointing out what due process is, and I will keep pointing out how you are violating people's rights, and how none of you have any authority to do any of this. And don't mark my words, they're going to use ICE to start policing election places, even though it's illegal for non-citizens to vote in the elections. They're going to use that as a justification to have their guys standing out there, which has a chilling effect on the electorate. Don't stand for it. What you need to stand for are the downtrodden. What you need to stand for are the people who are being killed, the people who are being rounded up, the people who are being tortured, the people who are being abused, the people who are being violated by this administration. There need to be protests. And let me tell you, I wish we still lived in a world where I could just keep saying, hey, peaceful protest, peaceful protest. And I still hope that the protests remain peaceful. But there's already public footage of people saying, nope, I'm done. I bought my first gun. Congratulations. The people who didn't want restrictions on guns, all the people who thought they'd have to rise up against their government, those are the people you're going to have to rise up against. Now, this is coming from I don't know, put as many different labels on me as you want, cishet, white, able-bodied, whatever privilege I have, I no longer give any fucks about it. It exists just to be used to try to help the people who don't have that as much as I can. But also, I need to understand. And so while we are going to be taking calls, and we are definitely going to be taking calls from theists as well, I'm also interested in hearing from people who aren't like me. I'm interested in hearing how women and people of color and queer folks, what their interactions are like with these individuals, with this administration. How fearful are you? What has actually happened? We need to get the word out. I don't know that it'll do any good, because we literally have video footage of this event from multiple angles and countless experts addressing it. And still, it's become very clear MAGA, I don't know, the Christians who are actually voicing their opinion, do not give a rat's ass about due process. Don't give a rat's ass. They think immigrants are here illegally and they don't get due process because they don't know the Constitution, because the Constitution provides that due process to all persons, not citizens. They didn't use due process coming in. Why should they get due process now? There is no due process. That's not what fucking due process is. We have allowed our nation to become so absolutely, horrifically, poorly educated, poorly informed, misinformed, and lied to. We are the weakest link. We're going to take some calls in a little bit, but please first join me in welcoming Alyssa. I did the big, awesome introduction, but how is your life different from my life in this world?
Well, I'm a woman, and so seeing the way that this administration has specifically treated women has been really terrifying. I mean, even in Trump's, I believe it was his one of the first debates he did in his first for his first presidency, when he made comments about Megyn Kelly being on her period.
Yeah.
Things like this, where it's just there are constantly moments of degrading women. And then there are moments where I think about how he's hired so many women, like his staff has so many women in like as part of his staff. But then I remember that he also said that he likes to have women as part of his team because he can pay them less and they will work more. So even in that, it's just constantly feeling like there is a target on every person who's not a white cisgender man, but also for sure on women. And then on top of that, in my role, I deal a lot with women's health and with and that includes abortion care, but it also means that for things like having women be included in studies and having information and research done to help make sure that we are continuously included in what our healthcare outcomes are. That's really important as well. And we've seen that slowly get degraded. The day that Roe v. Wade was overturned was like, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I felt naive in that moment because so many people just had been saying for years, this is what they're doing. This is what they are gearing up to do. And I kept thinking, I see that that's what they're trying to do, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And now we're in this place where I remember being in school, in high school, learning about propaganda for the first time, or maybe it was middle school, whatever, learning about propaganda for the first time. And I remember in that moment thinking, this couldn't happen now. The good news is this could never happen now because we're in the age of information. Everything is filmed. Information is shared at the speed of light. And this could never happen. And yet here we are. And I feel like we are some of the most like media illiterate generation of all time. Like I cannot believe that fake rap sheet that has gone on and been shared about for Renee Good with a date and an age that don't add up in a screenshot that is very clearly a Google form. I just cannot believe, and that's going around. And then on top of that, people are sharing that as if it's a justification for having her get shot in the head multiple times and then get called a fucking bitch at the end of it.
Yeah. It's, yeah. I'm beat.
Me too. This is the most exhausted I've felt in a while. This whole situation has really taken me out of it. And also for all of the people who have said, who have talked a lot about Charlie Kirk in this period of time, what happened to that investigation, by the way? Why have I heard nothing about Tyler Robinson, about if he's even the guy? I'm not even sure that he's in custody. I've heard nothing about that.
So they haven't been covering it because they went into court and they set a date for the next thing, which I believe is in February. And so there's nothing new to add. But also, we live in this absolutely shitty world of 24-hour news, real and fake. And we need a new story, and we need lots of new stories to deflect people's attention from the fact that it has now been almost an entire month since they were supposed to have released all of the Epstein files and didn't. And nothing has come out since, I think, December 20th. Nothing new. Meanwhile, we have abducted the absolutely shitty, vile president of Venezuela, and Trump has announced himself as the new interim president of Venezuela. That's not how any of this works, dumbass. But go right ahead. Call yourself whatever you want. You can call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. You can call Washington, D.C. Trump, D.C. or Washington, D.T. And then you can get Donald Trump and District of Trump. You can do whatever you want. And all we can do is wait for some people with some power and backbones to begin to prosecute all of these corrupt individuals who are destroying the world, and then work together to undo it.
I will say what has also been, I think, one of the most upsetting parts about this whole Renee Good situation, her murder on camera, is I haven't really heard, and I'm sure that they have been saying things. I haven't really heard a ton from any of the Democratic electives. I have heard nothing. And while I'm sure they have said something somewhere, I've seen no media coverage of it. I would have to go to their independent channels to find it, which means they're not going on a news show and sharing how they feel and sharing how much of an egregious crime this is. And someone earlier today, I saw a TikTok of someone talking about how we have spent more money on ICE than we do on the Marines, and nail techs have to train for longer. Longer than an ICE agent who has a gun, by the way, and alleged immunity. You can't paint my nails, but you can shoot someone in the face with immunity. Okay.
My numbers may be a little bit off. I think the initial training period for ICE was 6 months. They have shortened that to 47 days, not because they figured out that they can actually do training in 47 days, but because Donald Trump is the 47th president. And style over substance always wins. If you want to, hey, we're going to shorten the training, we'll shorten it to 47 days because Trump is the 47th president. Not because you can actually teach anybody anything in that time period. Oh, and by the way, they've lowered the standards for these guys. I was in the Navy for 8.5 years. I hate running. Every year we had to do a physical fitness test, and you had to run 1.5 miles, and you had quite a while to do it. And every year you got a little more time. And you had to do do some sit-ups, some push-ups, and 1.5 mile run. Cool. I failed the run. I was a heavy smoker. I hated to run. And after failing it twice, if you fail it a third time, you just get kicked out.
No way.
Failing physical fitness. Yeah. And I had been in for 8 years, and I didn't necessarily decide that I was actively going to fail it to get out, but I did not care to stay in. And so for the third run, they put us all in the starting line, said go. And as we took off, I ran about 50 feet and I lit a cigarette and I walked and smoked the whole thing and did not make it in the time allotted.
Oh,
and then was, eventually processed out. They have lowered the standards. So can't do push-ups, can't do sit-ups. If you're part of the Gravy SEALs, if you're a little tubby, why? As mad as Pete Hegseth is about all these fat military folks, nobody seems to give a shit if a bunch of fat, lazy, untrained, unqualified, fragile little male bitches get into ICE. The only nice thing is you can probably outrun them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. I can't outrun anybody.
For what it's worth, every year that we had to do the state mandated mile for my high school, I just had an agreement with my gym teacher, and I would do 2 laps, and then she and I would just sit and we would just chat, because you know what? I was really nice to her and she did not care that much, but I also hate running and I did not want to run a mile.
When I'll tell this one story, and then we're going to move on to callers real quick. Actually, we'll get Arden in to make some announcements, and then we'll move on to callers. So there's your advance warning. Wonderful, beautiful, brilliant, sexy producer lady. You don't have to call HR. We're actually in a relationship. When I got out of boot camp, I was in A school. I made it through A school, became an electronics technician in the nuclear power program. And then I was about, I don't remember how many weeks through power school when I overslept. I had been put on mandatory PT and had to get up earlier than everybody else to go do a run every morning. And I overslept. and they kicked me out of the nuke program, reduced me in rate, sent me out to the Navy, and I went as an undesignated seaman. It's fine. I had a better time, and I was happy to re-enlist twice, actually. But when I got out of Navy nuclear power school and got into the real Navy, I went over, and the lead petty officer of the interim place that they sent you before they shipped you out to the fleet said, okay, we got to do a PT test. So I see here you passed the sit-ups and push-ups last time, so we'll just skip that. And the run's the only thing you missed. So are you familiar with the course that we run here? And I was like, no, I've never tried it. I've only been here for like 2 days. And he's like, okay, we start here at this building. You run down there. You run past the McDonald's. Yes, there was McDonald's on base. Yes, there was more than one McDonald's on some of the bases that I was on. You run down there. You run past the McDonald's. You take a left. You go around it. You go down around that other building. You come over there. You come back up here. And this is the finish line. He's like, you got that? And I said, I think so. And he goes, okay, you ready? Yep. Go. Stop. You passed. Go change. That was the entire PT test that I did for being processed out of nuclear power school into the real Navy. We did do actual PT tests out in the real Navy, but when you're on an aircraft carrier and you're running laps around the flight deck, it's pretty easy to cheat there too. And it's like, who cares if I'm a little fat and a little slow while I'm stuck on a ship for 6 months? I'm not going to be running and chasing anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't get issued a weapon until I was actually driving small boats, working with FIB-CB2, and we had to, work. Well, I'm not going to go into details on that operation, but we did some stuff where they actually provided us weapons. But anyway, we got a handful of callers, including some theists, a number of potentially contentious topics. Arden, tell us what's going on this weekend. What is all the news that everybody needs to know? And then we'll get to calls.
All the news people need to know?
Well, the ones you care about.
All right. So tomorrow at 2 p.m. on TACIS is going to be Josie, joined by Riverboat Jack. So for all those people who were like, when is Riverboat Jack coming back? You can see that tomorrow at 2 p.m. There will be a Cus I Wanna on Saturday with Josie Caballero and Forrest Valkai. So if you want to support Josie's campaign, running for, I forget the seat. Montgomery Council, something. It's a really important seat, and she's one of our own. So definitely go support her. Help support her campaign. Sunday at 1 p.m. the early show will be Matt with Promise. The late show on Sunday after dark will be Forrest Valkai with Justin from the Deconstruction Zone. Monday on Skeptalk, it is Forrest Valkai with Erica Gutsa-Gibbon. So if you're ready for 8 hours of nonsense calls, buckle up. They are here for you. Tuesday, Alyssa will be with Taylor on Chewed Gum. And then next Wednesday, right back here on the Hang Up, Jimmy Snow will be joining us for a sort of first year since Donald Trump got inaugurated episode. So hang tight and you can catch all those things. Go make sure you set your notifications so you don't miss any of the shows. And that's what you got coming up.
Awesome. Alyssa, do you have anything you want to add before we get on to callers?
No, fuck ICE. Get them out of here.
Fair.
That's it.
All right. This appears to be a first-time caller and a theist right off the top, and so that's really good. Joshua is calling from Texas, pronouns he, him, and Joshua says he thinks that Christianity is great for people. Hey, Joshua, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, let's just go with okay and and leave it at that.
All right. Well, I joined the show. I have no idea how I got this number, to be honest. People love arguing about religion, politics, systems. But I wanted to ask you a practical question.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling in to defend your idea that Christianity is great for people. But go ahead, ask a question.
Well, yeah, I'm going to do that as well. But what are your thoughts on health insurance? Is health insurance good for humanity? Yes or no?
I don't think the current health insurance systems that we have access to or are aware of are the correct choice. I would much prefer that healthcare just be a basic human right provided to people, but I realize that we're trying to change a system that's been in place for a long time. I don't know what that has to do with Christianity being great for people, but
Well, I mean, health insurance isn't always about belief. Like, do you currently have coverage yourself?
I would say health
Yes.
insurance is never about belief.
yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about or why you're talking about health insurance. I pay for my own health insurance, and it just went up 57% because of MAGA and Trump and the Christian fascist right. How is that showing me how Christianity is great?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wait,
Joshua,
wait, Joshua, Joshua.
Yes.
Are
My name's
you
Joshua.
getting ready to suggest that Christianity is afterlife insurance?
No, I'm suggesting that you should seek out private health insurance because it's more affordable.
I have private health insurance, but
Oh, awesome.
I literally just told you
Perfect.
that I pay for it myself. I'm self-employed. I pay about $1,580 a month just for myself.
Insane.
Geesh, what
But why
carrier
are you
on?
why are you calling to talk to me and make a recommendation about health insurance? Because I'll tell you right now, there's a few things that I'm known for. I fucking hate unsolicited advice. I definitely hate unsolicited health advice. And I also hate people who call in to say that they're going to defend Christianity and then deflect to a completely different, irrelevant topic. So why don't we focus on why you think Christianity is great for people and stop worrying
Well,
about
you
my
love
health
crying
care?
about everything else, and you apparently,
Oh,
love crying about your health insurance. So I'm trying to help you get a lower plan.
but I didn't
Are you
ask
a
you for
health
that.
insurance agent? Like, are you an insurance broker? What's going on?
Yeah.
You
Cool.
are.
I didn't ask you for any of that. And you called to, I mean, are you going to actually get around to the thing that you said you'd do? Or are you just going to sit here and be an obvious troll and complain that I'm complaining
Well,
about things?
you said you had a problem with your health insurance. Just trying to see if I can help you out. I mean,
I'm sorry.
I received this request.
Did I say at any point during today's intro or my discussion with you anything about my health insurance?
You did.
I did?
After
When?
you asked a question,
Yeah,
he answered it.
Alyssa referenced the healthcare system, so I'm bringing it up. Part of your show. I'm bringing it
I
up.
didn't say, see, Joshua, I'm sorry. I didn't ask you if Alyssa mentioned it. Did I complain about my healthcare today at all?
No, but Alyssa's also
No,
on
I
the
didn't.
show. She
Okay,
brought up
no,
healthcare
stop.
system.
No, Joshua, you've already failed. When I'm asking you yes or no questions, you are now in kindergarten mode. We don't make me go back to preschool mode. You're going to answer the yes or no.
Apparently,
And
I'm a he him. Apparently, I'm a he him because there's.
Evidently, that's up to you. I've muted you. I want to make sure I'm clear, and then we'll get this moving in the direction. So, when we ask people for their pronouns, we're asking them which pronouns they would prefer. It is a courtesy. It's so that I don't refer to you as she if you would rather be referred to as he, or I don't refer to you as he if you would rather be referred to as she, because you can't always tell. And some people have different preferences. It's kind of like asking you your name. Like, I have no idea if your name's actually Joshua. We're not going to look at your driver's license or your birth certificate. I don't care. If you say that, you want to be called Joshua, I'm going to call you Joshua. And if you say you want to be called Fergal Burgle Minergal Burgle, it's a little bit unwieldy, but I'll try and do that as well. That's what basic respect and dignity is. It is how you act in an honest way with other people. And so my opening had nothing to do with healthcare. My conversation with Alyssa didn't really have anything to do with healthcare. Yes, she mentioned it, talking about women's issues in particular. You called in and you were asked what your pronouns were. You could have said, I don't care. I don't have a preference. Call me whatever, but you gave them. And so we mention them so that we can do that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Joshua, that basic dignity and respect is too difficult for you. If you understood basic dignity and respect, you would have said, I think Christianity is great for people. And when we started the call and we welcomed you and allowed you to move forward, you wouldn't have asked me anything at all about my health care. You would have said, I think Christianity is great for people, and here's why. And then I would have said, what do you mean by Christianity? Which version of Christianity? Are there some versions of Christianity that are better than others? And what do you mean by great for people? What specifically is it about it that is great for people? And can those same benefits be achieved without belonging to it. And then I probably would have moved on to all I really care about Christianity is not whether or not it benefits people, because it does. Being in any club will benefit the members of that club. What I care about is it true and is it good? But you have already failed epically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. I know that Alyssa wants to get, she's got questions and things here. And so I am going to give you, do you a great favor, Joshua. And I'm just going to pretend like you weren't an obnoxious, let me deflect to Matt's healthcare just so I can accuse him of whining about everything. And instead, I'm going to rewind back to the beginning of the call after Alyssa makes her comment or question. And then you're going to get one shot to focus on the task at hand, which actually two tasks at hand, one of which is to answer whatever question Alyssa gets to ask you. And the second one is to explain why you think Christianity is great for people. And if you fail to do either of those or deflect from either of those, we will just move on because I have zero patience for time wasters. So Alyssa, I'm sorry, what were you getting ready to say?
I was just going to ask him if his pronouns don't matter to him, would he prefer that I call him she, her? Is that okay? If that actually, I think I'm just going to just do that anyway, since they don't seem to matter so much to Joshua.
Okay.
So,
well, let's bring her back. And
bring her back.
Joshua can begin by, I won't even make you apologize. We're not going to play that game. I just need you to focus on doing the thing because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people on hold. And now you are not only wasting my time and the audience's time, you're also being disrespectful to all those people. There are other people, other theists, other people who want to defend Christianity. So here's your opportunity. I'm going to unmute you. You'll hear a beep. Once you do, you don't have to apologize or anything. You just got to say, okay, here's why I think Christianity is great for people. And we'll try to have a discussion. Can you do that? We'll see. Here we go.
Matt, I appreciate your time. I'm really just interested in Alyssa, whether she's single or not.
Joshua, Miss Girl, even if I had was never able to date a person and was really struggling, you couldn't pay me $1 billion to date someone who is incapable of answering a question, who ignored me, by the way, in the first half of this call, and also thinks that grammar is stupid and woke. So, Miss Girl, you can see yourself the fuck out. That's crazy.
It's so here's the thing. I've done this for 20 years, and it is very, very difficult to get any honest Christian. Well, there may not be too many honest Christians left, but I do know there are a few. I am friends with a few. But it's very difficult to get any honest Christian to call in and actually defend. They don't care to. They functionally already know that they have insufficient evidence to reach the conclusion they have, and they do not have good arguments. They just don't necessarily all understand why the arguments aren't good, and that's where all this jousting comes back. So what do we get? We get trolls. We get Phil Bros who want to, I caught you. Which premise do you reject? Which premise do you reject? I reject your assertion that I need to reject a premise in the sense of proving it wrong. Instead, all I need to do is say you haven't demonstrated that premise should be accepted, and that puts the burden of proof back on you. So Phil Bros probably won't be calling in there because unlike some of the other folks on here who have a great time, I shut them down. I'm trying to shut them down a little less quickly and a little less harshly and without trampling over co-hosts who might have great questions or some way to resolve it. But it's funny because, Joshua, I have your actual phone number. You called in on your actual phone number to pretend as if you were going to defend Christianity and instead talked about healthcare so you could call me a whiner. And then when we gave you every opportunity, when I bent over backwards to just say, let's wipe the slate clean, all you did was demonstrate, thank you, one of the very problems that I was talking about. And that is that men and women are functionally treated different in so many spaces. My ex-wife stopped being an activist in the movement because she was either viewed as a prop or a conduit to get to me because I was slightly more popular than she was. We would go to conventions and all people would want to talk to her about, some people, was me, and see if they could get in good with her so they could hang out with me. Trust me, I'll hang out with you, whether you're friends with my partner or not hang out with you based entirely on how we get along. But it is, I don't know. Maybe Joshua, maybe I'm just mad you didn't hit on me.
I mean, I would literally, I said this in our little Discord, I would rather pluck out each of my toenails by hand than share any oxygen with Joshua. That so diva. I'm good on that.
We have more people calling, and we have more theists. We have a couple of deists. Oh my gosh. I've seen the all right, let's try it. Adam's calling from Croatia. Adam's a theist and his preferred pronouns are he, him. And he says, Christianity is ultra exciting. How you doing, Adam?
Hi. I'm fine.
Hi, Adam.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, Adam, in deference to what you've said, why do you think Christianity is ultra exciting?
Because we have the third secret of Fatima.
Oh, I talked to you just the other day, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you never to call me again?
Yes, you did, but I like to watch.
I don't care what you like. If I tell you don't call me again, don't call me again.
Did he call under a different name?
Yes, he's called under several names. And it always pops up because he uses the web thing, so it always pops up as Croatia. So we know it's him right off the bat because the odds that there are multiple dipshits from Croatia all trying to get in at the same time on the show is really low. But cool. Let's get on to some people where maybe we can have some better conversations. Kyle's a deist from Wisconsin who says, in most cases, abortion should be illegal. Hey, Kyle.
Hello. Good to talk to you guys. It's my first time ever calling.
No,
Hi,
it's
Kyle.
not. This is your second time calling, right?
This is the first time ever being connected. Sorry.
It says here you called 2 days ago, and it says that you were claiming then that a woman consents to giving birth the moment she consents to having sex.
Not absolutely, but yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take a step back for a while because having another dude go at another dude about something that doesn't affect you or me is really weird, but I will start really quickly because I can't not do this and say that mentality is completely wrong. Consent to sex is not consent to pregnancy. Consent to pregnancy is not consent to remaining pregnant, and consent to remaining pregnant isn't necessarily consent to carrying it to term. But I'm going to back out. You can explain to Alyssa why you think you have the right to force her to remain pregnant against her will.
Kyle, I'm all ears.
Well, you're
all right. Hello,
vagina
Melissa.
too.
Alyssa, sorry about that. So my general stance is that you know what can happen when you have sex. You know, you can possibly get pregnant. So you're taking that risk, if you will, as soon as you have consensual sex.
So here's my thing,
why
Kyle.
Should you just get to back out after you get pregnant?
So I'm going to say that we are going to disagree on the consent aspect of that there, but that's not even actually what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is that oh wait, how did I just lose my whole sorry. I almost lost my whole train of thought. Ultimately, when we're looking at the options that we have available, the most important thing when we're talking about sexual wellness, when we're talking about the well-being of people, is having a goal-oriented approach. We're going to solve the problem. What has never, ever solved the problem is teaching people abstinence. states in the United States that have abstinence only education are the states that have the highest rate of teen pregnancy and the highest rate of STIs. They often have sex as young as 13 years old, and they have more partners over a longer period of time than people who are given comprehensive, medically accurate sex education. So abstinence only doesn't work. And we know that people don't only have sex for the purpose of procreation. So I'm not really interested in that even being the conversation because it's not realistic and it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, well, people shouldn't be shooting everyone. So maybe we don't even need a law for that. Let's just get rid of the law because like they shouldn't be doing that. So, but they do. So let's find out solutions to make sure that everyone is able to have the life that they want and deserve and are able to do that in a safe way.
Okay. So I guess I would just kind of come back with how is abstinence proven to not be effective when it's never never been enacted? People have always had casual sex.
I'm sorry. I'm going to try to save you from looking ridiculous. Alyssa didn't say abstinence doesn't work. Alyssa said abstinence only education doesn't work. Abstinence absolutely will guarantee, unless there's a deity that comes in and magically does it, abstinence is 100% effective in making sure you don't get pregnant. Abstinence
I was
only.
not talking about that act.
I'm sorry. I don't know why the fuck you're trying to talk over me when I'm just sitting here quietly correcting one thing where Alyssa was talking about abstinence only education and you, I'm sorry, I'm still fucking talking. So stop talking. Let me finish my sentence and then I'll back out again because you are horribly confused and have no idea what you're talking about. You're in over your head and you completely misrepresented what she said. She didn't say that abstinence doesn't work and you accused her of saying that abstinence doesn't work. Now I'm done.
All right, Alyssa, would you like to respond to what I said?
So I don't really understand what. So to be clear, telling people not to have sex does not prevent them from having sex. They still do. So it doesn't matter to me that you feel that the consent is there. I think you're wrong. But I also think it doesn't matter because my goal is to ensure that everyone has safe options in their healthcare, which includes abortion care. It is part of what we have to be offering because the other part of it too is when we are limiting abortion access, there are not fewer abortions that happen. There are just fewer safe abortions that happen. So again, if the goal is to protect the sanctity of life, which I assume is a part of your position, then we need to be able to offer this service in a safe way because at a minimum, you protect mom. When you take abortion care off of the table, you put, obviously, baby is not really part of the equation, but you also put mom at risk. So not only is this pregnancy going to be terminated, which is the desired effect, but you also are now putting the sanctity of the life of the mother at risk as well. And that does not doesn't make more sense to me. So so my whole thing is the ethical part of the debate around abortion is one thing. And I think that that's a conversation that I could have till I'm blue in the face. And Kyle, I don't know if we'll ever be on the same page. What I think I would rather get people on board with is if you are interested in protecting the sanctity of life, the way that you do that is by providing healthcare that is going to do that at a minimum for mom. And I'm sure you've heard now, there have been many stories of women who have to get medical abortions and doctors will not perform them in the state that they are in. And so then that woman, her life and her safety is at risk, even in the event that she wants to keep that pregnancy. So what is the point? What's the point? And I'll tell you right now, women are not willy-nilly getting abortions. That is not the case. People are not using it as birth control. That is a line that is spun in the Conservative Party to make this problem or make this conversation more complicated and more convoluted than it truly is. That is simply not the case. If we want to protect the sanctity
as a way
of
to get out of the responsibility of taking responsibility
What's
for
wrong
your
with that?
action.
What's wrong with that?
Kyle, you can't treat taking care of a human being for your entire lifespan like that's you're gonna punish a person, and what you're actually doing is you're punishing that child because they're going to grow up in a house where the parent was not prepared for one reason or another to have that child. So again, you care about the sanctity of life, but you don't want to protect the child who's going to be born into a household that were in which they did not want to be in.
That child would never be born because they wouldn't have casual sex knowing that they have to take care of that child.
Kyle, that doesn't work. People have
pregnant.
casual sex. People have casual sex whether they should or should not. There are priests who are sexually assaulting people even though they are supposed to be chaste. They're not supposed to have sex with anyone ever, and they still do. There are people who cheat on their wives. Like, it's like there's no safeguard.
These are all horrible problems.
There's
understand.
no.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There's no. The point is that if we're trying to get to, if you really truly are worried about the sanctity of life, and you are worried about how do we get the most people to stay alive the longest, I know it doesn't feel right to you, but the truth is, it's by providing safe medical abortion care. Because then you protect mom, and you are only having pregnancies in situations where that pregnancy is wanted. People are not abstinent. It's not going to happen. It's never happened in the history of the world that people stay abstinent simply because they don't want to have children.
I have questions, Kyle, but I want to let you talk. I'm just letting you know.
I think I agree that it's never happened.
Okay.
But my question would be, why has it never happened? We could get to that point, but we
have not. We have not. So will we really? I think that is so unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Period. It's just not.
So my question, I have a number of questions, Kyle. You say abortion should be illegal. What should the penalty be, and for whom?
The penalty is that you have to have the child.
Having a child as a punishment is crazy.
So you want to create a law?
Looking at it like
hang on, I'm asking about the penalty. You're saying that abortion is illegal, so you're saying that if they have to have the baby. I'm saying if someone has an abortion, what should the penalty be since it's illegal? I'm sorry you're too confused about this, like you've never looked into this subject at all. But when I say what should the penalty be, you can't say it's to have the baby. No, you've made abortion illegal. Abortion is the legal termination of a pregnancy. It has nothing to do with killing. But if somebody has an abortion, which you've now made illegal, what should the penalty be? And what should the penalty be for the person who has an abortion and for the person who performs an abortion? Is this your first time ever thinking about this or talking about this?
It would never happen because it's not legal.
I'm sorry, Kyle, is it legal to exceed the speed limit?
No, it's not enforced.
No. Does that mean it doesn't happen?
Because it's not enforced.
Of course it's enforced.
No. How do you enforce it? If I have a coat hanger,
3 miles an hour.
If I have a coat hanger and perform an abortion, if I have a coat hanger and perform an abortion, what should the penalty be?
That would be very harsh. I don't know what the penalty would be.
That's because you have no thoughts about any of this, Kyle. When people get into a car, are they consenting to having an accident and being paralyzed for the rest of their life every time they get in a car?
No, that's not
No,
a choice that
that's
they
a
made.
possible outcome, isn't it? And by the way, you're now on yes or no questions until we get to a point where I think you have something productive to add to this. So when people get into a car to drive, they are not consenting to being in an accident and being paralyzed forever, but they are consenting to the risk of that happening with the
they're aware of the
understanding
risk, exactly.
with don't fucking say a word. Every time you interrupt me, you get closer and closer to being put on mute. Just wait. So people are consenting to the risk, and they do so with the knowledge that there are a number of different possible remedies to that risk. And that if somebody is at fault and injures me, that there are remedies that come from that people, but they don't get to dictate it. I don't get to say my car and my ability to walk are worth $75 billion, and now you must pay me $75 billion out of your pocket, or blah, blah. You don't get to define that. So right now, people are consenting to sex. They are doing it with prophylactics. They are doing it with both physical and chemical. They are doing it without that. They are doing it with the recognition that pregnancy may result and that there are remedies for that pregnancy, including terminating that pregnancy. You are taking away that remedy. You want to make one of the remedies illegal because you personally are opposed to it when the rest of us aren't. What right should you or anybody else have to force someone to remain pregnant against their will and to implement stiff penalties if they don't follow your preferred method?
I muted Kyle just because there was that weird sound. I'll unmute him right now. Sorry about that. I want to make sure we could hear you.
Yeah, there was wind. I'm sorry. I was walking to my car. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you're consenting to an accident?
Yes, I'm consenting to drive with the possibility of getting in an accident. Yes.
Cool.
So then if you get into a car accident, you consented to being in the car. You consented to the possibility of an accident. So we're just not supposed to help you. We're not going to take you to the hospital.
No, that's not the case at all. We have
okay. Why would that not be the case? You consented to the possibility of an accident. Why should we have to help you? You knew that was a possibility when you got into the car. You consented to that, huh?
Yes, I consented to possibly getting in a car accident, getting injured, and then I would have to go to the hospital. That's why we have hospitals.
Because you don't want to sustain the injuries that you have. So you want to have them corrected and fixed. So your logic is not consistent. So what is the reason truly that you think that abortion should be illegal? Because it's not about if you consented to sex. It's not based on the principle that if you consented to sex, you're consenting to the pregnancy. That's clear because that's not a consistent principle for you. So what is the reason?
It is actually that. And
but it's not because
does make sense. My answer would be that I understand the risk that I'm taking, and I might have to go to the hospital after I get injured.
Okay.
But
Kyle, listen real close.
I'm not gonna blame whoever sold me the car because I got into an accident. I consented to get in the car.
It's not about blame. It's about care. It's about the result.
I'm not gonna return the car. That makes more sense. I'm not gonna.
Here we go. Kyle, you're too stupid for this conversation, so I'm going to mute you because you are avoiding the actual issues here. So I'm going to give you a scenario. You get in your car and you have an accident and you are rushed to a hospital and you live in a country that does not provide by default healthcare to people unless they can show that they can pay for it. And you are delivered to a hospital that is run by Jehovah's Witnesses, and you need a blood transfusion, and they are imposing their religious views on the people in their hospital, and they will not allow a blood transfusion. Are you okay with that scenario?
Am I okay with that? What? With that scenario?
Correct. Are you okay living in a world where you are not necessarily afforded health care, and if you go to a hospital run by Jehovah's Witnesses, you can't have the blood transfusion you need?
No, because health
Good.
and safety
Then say
is
goodbye,
part of the
dumbass,
requirement.
because you just
Hold on, I'm
defeated
still
your own
talking.
fucking
I'm
argument.
Still talking. I'm still.
Oh, no. You're not still talking, motherfucker. You're done. You're completely 100%, 1,000,000%. You will never get to say another word on today's episode of this show. I'm going to leave you there on mute because you sound like you're about 19 and have never thought about any of this subject before, not thought about the consequence. Oh, it'll be a stiff penalty. It should be a stiff. Well, it just won't happen. People will just start taking responsibility. You're too dumb. And I don't believe you're this dumb. So I don't believe you're being sincere. You are either completely clueless and have not spent a second thinking about it and did not spend any time thinking about the examples that Alyssa and I gave. You are advocating for your personal views, your uninformed, clueless, and immoral views on abortion rights to be imposed on other people. And when I asked you about somebody else's views on blood transfusions being enforced on you, well, that just wasn't right. Well, too damn bad. They're the ones in charge. Instead, the rest of us are going to work together and cooperatively to build a society where there's a proper separation of church and state, and where laws have a secular purpose and a secular justification, and that individual liberties and freedoms are valued. And so you don't have to worry about getting anybody pregnant because somebody's managed to convince you, stupidly, that maybe sex isn't for you. Maybe it's only exists within marriage. Well, if you wait and you get married and your wife gets pregnant in this world where you've banned abortion, I hope she doesn't need a medical abortion. I hope you don't end up with a kid that you don't want and can't take care of because you were irresponsible. And now you spend the rest of your life miserable. And so does your wife. So does that kid. In a couple weeks, Arden and I are going to go to my parents' 60th anniversary. In February, my parents will have been married for 60 years. That is quite the achievement, unless you're in a religious cult that doesn't allow divorce. If you're in a religious mindset that does not permit divorce, do you find ways to make it work? Yes, you do. Does that mean it's a good marriage? Not necessarily. It might be. I think my parents probably have a pretty good marriage overall. They've done way better than a lot of people, but merely getting to 60 years, if you're also of a mindset that divorce just isn't an option, is nothing to be proud of. Because sometimes not only is divorce a good option, it's the best option. My ex-wife and I are still great friends. We talk frequently. We have no business being married to each other anymore. It was the right thing for both of us. It was a mess. It was ugly for a little bit. It was hurtful at the time. It was sad. And yet, when you take everything into consideration, it was absolutely the right decision. I could call her right now and she would tell you the exact same thing. When you try to dictate your personal opinion onto other people and hold them responsible to your standards, by the way, that I'll point out, Kyle, I'm going to assume that you're a cis man because only cis men are this fucking ignorant, which means you have no hope of actually becoming pregnant. So you're willing to impose restrictions on other people that you will never have to face yourself. And many of the people like you who are willing to impose this restriction on other people are the same ones that don't think there should be divorce. And you know why those guys think like that? You know why? Because they can't have an actual equitable relationship with respect and dignity and have somebody who loves them and wants to be with them. And so instead, if they can just knock somebody up and keep them from getting divorced, they get their helpmeet for life without having to do any of the actual effort of being a decent human being, a decent husband, a decent father. You take care of the kids, I'm going to work, we'll be miserable together for the next 50 years. Sorry, Kyle, that shit don't fly. And you don't know enough about the subject for anybody to be interested in or care about anything you have to say. And the only reason I'm not going to hang up right now, like I said I would, is because I want to give Alyssa the opportunity to get a parting shot, unless you just want to drop him.
Well, the only thing that I would say to Kyle, because again, like I don't really have an interest in debating the moral portion anymore, because I think it's a waste of my time and their time. My concern is when I think about this in purely a practical sense, you have to keep abortion access legal. You have to. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't have an abortion. Lucky for you, Kyle, you're not in that situation. There are many, many exceptions. Even if you're going to do this purely based on the exceptions to the rule, meaning someone who has a dangerous pregnancy and they have to end the pregnancy to save their life. If they are in a state that has no abortion care, they will lose their life because you, Kyle, in fuck off Wisconsin, thinks that that's a better choice. Does that make sense? Does that make you feel like a good and pious person? I don't understand. And in the event that this person needs life-saving care, their blood is on your hands. The other part of it is if birth control fails. If they did not want to have a child, they used birth control and it failed for one reason or another, it happens. Now they're stuck with a child. And like I said in the very beginning, encouraging abstinence does not work. It just doesn't work. Telling people not to have sex works as well as telling people who have depression to feel better and have a nice day. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not really interested in having a conversation on what's morally right and morally wrong. I'm interested in providing people life-saving care that is necessary. It is necessary for the grown human being who has hopes and dreams and an established life here. They get priority here. I'm sorry. And I just don't, I can't understand having someone's opinion, and someone's religious opinion, no less, affect how this person is going to get life-saving care. Fuck off. Mind your business. I can't understand it. I can't accept it. And when we go to the practical way that this plays out, you have to keep abortion care. You have to. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Have a great day, Kyle. I hope you never get laid. And I'm genuine and serious about that. I hope that no person, man, woman, non-binary, ever engages in any sort of sex with you. Because you're not grown up enough now to even begin to think about it. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe our sex coach here might completely disagree and say, you know what? Maybe the best thing that could happen is for Kyle to get laid, or maybe for Kyle to get somebody who's actually interested in him so that he can develop empathy for people other than himself.
Yeah, maybe. But I also, the potential of that person getting stuck with a pregnancy that they didn't want and having Kyle be the father, and like, not only is Kyle the father of your child, so we're already off to a bad start, but on top of that, he's not going to let you have the care that you're looking for. Oh my God. The way that I would level the apartment building if my fiance ever told me what he would let me do and not let me do. Oh, it would just never happen.
It's so, here's what we'll permit you to do. And it's wild. You know, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm overstepping my bounds in psychoanalyzing Kyle and these incels, but maybe it's the fact that they can't control the women in their life, but there's no woman in their life to control, that they feel this urge to try to control other women that they have no interaction with at all.
Yeah.
First of all, Kyle, You shouldn't be controlling whoever your girlfriend, partner, wife, spouse is, but you definitely aren't fucking controlling mine or anybody else's.
God, I hope not.
Oh. All right.
God, I hope not.
Well, that was a wild thing. There's we got a few others here. I want to take this. I'm not even quite sure what this call is about, but we have a couple of atheist callers, but we also have a deist caller, and this is Daniel from Maine. Pronouns are he, him, and it says here. I'm going to try and read this real quick, Daniel, and then you can tell us what it means. MAGA nationalism, is it not free forgiveness, not the biblical teaching of making amends before offering to God, but is not the church that is showing us how to I don't know what you're asking, Daniel. I'm sorry.
Okay, this is my take. First of all, I'm a theist maybe, but I don't believe that Jesus died on the cross for my sins. But I grew up in foster care, and he was the closest thing to a living example of an adult that I could find. So for me, the idea of using Jesus as the path of like, love your neighbor as you love yourself, judge righteously when you do judge. I've lived my life along those lines with the help of autism. I'm autistic. Makes it a piece of cake. What I found though was living
does autism allow somebody to actually defend deism? Because so far in the 20 years I've been doing this, nobody's been able to remotely defend deism, which is basically saying I'm convinced there's a God that we can't demonstrate. But we'll get back to that.
Yes,
finish your thought.
It has. I actually have a pre-creation theory that I've been mathematically able to prove, but I will talk your ear off if we go into that.
Wait a minute. Did you just say you have a creation theory that you have been able to prove?
Yes, mathematically.
Okay, cool. Stop. Finish whatever you were talking about, and then maybe we can go on to that. What was it you wanted to address?
Okay, well, we were addressing the value of Christianity. Is it valuable? Is it relevant? Is it necessary? And in regards to MAGA and all that, this is where it gets confusing. We're talking about white nationalism. We're talking about some Christians. Not everyone is white. We're talking about MAGA enthusiasts that claim Christianity. But at the same time, we are living in a life where these same people who we're supposed to love our neighbor and love ourselves, we're trying to take away the benefits that are for our neighbors. And as someone who believes in Christ, that is against what Jesus taught. In fact, if I look at Christianity and I look at what Jesus taught, what I do notice is this. There is an example in the Bible where a Roman centurion went to Jesus. He didn't know if Jesus was a real prophet, if he was the Son of God or what. And he said, "Sir, I have faith that you can do it. I'm a man of means. I give a command, it gets done." Jesus was in awe that the centurion, who was not a Christian, had faith in him and supposedly healed the centurion's servant. I bring this up is because Jesus did not say, "Yo, you're Roman, you're conquering my kingdom, get the hell out." And it's that kind of love and respect for our neighbors, for the proximity of the people around us. We are distracted by Washington.
I'm confused.
I'm distracted by what's going on. Sorry.
I'm monumentally confused. So the story of the Roman centurion from Matthew 8, do you think that actually happened?
What I do know is this. I hope it happened.
You hope that Jesus performed miracles?
No. Because the definition of a miracle gets confused as hell as well.
I'm sorry.
What I hope.
That story is about a Roman centurion coming up and talking to Jesus, and Jesus finding his faith compelling and agreeing to perform a miracle healing, and you think that story happened?
Honestly, I do. But
So
the only
so
reason why I
you
believe
don't
it
think
happened,
Jesus died for your sins, but you think Jesus could heal the sick?
yeah, actually.
Why? I'm not even convinced he existed, but even if I grant he existed, I have no reason to think he was able to bend the laws of reality. So why do you think that?
Well, because I honestly believe that the laws of reality are made to be bent.
Okay.
Just as
We're
we
done.
have seen
We're done.
innovation.
We're done.
Okay.
We're done. Daniel, you believe that
Yeah.
Jesus bent the laws of reality because you believe the laws of reality were meant to be bent. You are not a rational individual in touch with reality. And so I no longer care to hear your deism justification, because you just said that you believe that Jesus performed miracles but wasn't God. It's because you think miracles were meant to. You have no evidence. I'm going to bet, just like everybody else on the planet, do you have anything other than the miracle stories in the Bible that could count as evidence for Jesus doing anything?
But
No, that was a yes or no question. Do you have any evidence other than the Bible story that Jesus did anything?
I have evidence that humans can do things.
I'm sorry, Daniel, you are now in full-on dodge mode. I asked a very, very specific question.
Yes, let me.
No,
can I
stop
explain
talking.
myself, please?
Stop talking. I asked a very specific question, and you asked a different question. This show will never, ever be the show where you get to answer a different question. I write them down now so that I can ask you again. And I will ask you over and over until you answer the question that I actually fucking asked, and not the one that you wish you could answer. Do you have any evidence beyond the biblical claim that Jesus ever did anything?
No.
Cool. Would you agree that if somebody has no evidence for something and yet they believe it happened, that they are in fact irrational?
Without.
I'll take that
Yes,
as a
they are
yes.
irrational.
Goodbye, Daniel. Daniel, does the truth matter to you? Does being rational matter to you? Or you just go with what you feel and enjoy it?
Oh no, being rational is highly important to me.
It doesn't seem so, because you just acknowledged that you have no rational justification for your belief about Jesus.
I'm assuming the rules of rationality, but I assume from what your perspective is.
Yep, we're not going to have a good conversation, Daniel. But maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know.
Can I give you my view as potential evidence?
Why would I care about your views if your argument for miracles happening is that you think miracles supposed to happen, and you admit that you have no evidence for what you believe? Why would I care what you say?
I don't have evidence of Jesus doing miracles, but I have evidence of man doing miracles.
Really? What is your evidence of anyone ever performing a miracle, a violation of natural law?
This may sound silly, but it's.
I'm betting $1 million right now it's going to sound silly.
The Nautilus being fabricated by Jules Verne in 1880, and the Nautilus being created in 1950s, the first atomic submarine. The fact that we were able to suppose a human.
What is the miracle? What is the miracle that someone is able to? I'm sorry. Let me finish my fucking sentence. What is the miracle that says this person thought of a thing and later someone made the thing real? Where is the miracle in that?
the fact that a thought can be turned into a physical form.
Yeah, that's not a miracle. It happens every single day for the entire history of all thinking beings. If you're out hunting in your loincloth, you have a thought about a spear piercing that animal, and you turn that thought into reality. This is how we've built everything. There is no violation of natural law anywhere in that. It is not miraculous. You seem to confuse impressive with miraculous. That's not the same.
But is not the first episode of something miraculous to those that have
No.
never experienced it?
No, it's not a miracle the first time you come, the first time you eat, the first time you hear music, the first time you dance, the first time you read a book. None of those are miracles. The first time you have a thought, the first time you look at the sun, stop looking at the sun without protection, but the first time you look at the stars at night, none of those are miracles. Every one of those things is absolutely 100% natural and commonplace, common experiences for every person, pretty much, who has ever lived.
Listen to me. I mean, when I look at for example, there is an actual, there's a galaxy that actually shows up 3 different times in the sky, but it's the same galaxy at different time aspects in relation to the Earth. That's miraculous to me.
No, it's not.
The fact that
No, it's not.
Yeah,
That's
You
just
need to show a
science.
violation of physical. What? Oh, you don't know what a miracle is. You don't know what rational means. You don't know what a miracle means. You don't care if it's rational. You just, oh, I'm confused. I'm in awe. Therefore, it's a miracle. Sorry, that's not the way it works. And it's not surprising that you're a deist who thinks Jesus performed miracles if this is the way you view miracles.
I mean, I also view the finding of penicillin helping people get well as a miracle.
That's because
All
you're
these things-
delusional and irrational. There's no miracle there. It is actually a lot of hard work, study, investigation, exploration, and testing, followed by repeated individual trials, independent confirmation. It is science. Science ain't a fucking miracle. I'm sorry that you don't understand the science, but that doesn't make it a miracle.
Using science to explain a miracle doesn't make it less of a miracle.
Goodbye. I can't help you, Daniel. And I have no interest in your thoughts.
That was so, I literally at some point I was like, I can't contribute to this because actually everything he's saying is insane.
It's really strange. It's one of the things where, you know, if he'd have just said, hey, I'm using miracle as a colloquialism for,
Right.
you know, awe-inspiring. Awesome. Why not just say awe-inspiring? Because if something is awe-inspiring or awe-inducing, and you call it a miracle, you have just offered all of the miracle claims some sort of equal footing to mere awe.
Right. Right.
Science is awesome, awe-inspiring, awe-inducing, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Science, this process that we've developed of exploring the world and trying to understand, but also use that understanding to tweak the world. These glasses, these are science. These are cracked. I got to get replacements. But they're also not just corrective lenses. These are amazing. These are progressive lenses so that there are different prescription corrections at different points in the glasses so that I can go here and I can read that. But if I tilt my head up, that's now blurry because the point of focus is up here, but there's a different prescription for that. They're like bifocals, but that's awesome.
It's
not
awesome.
a miracle.
Yeah. And it's also, you know, I really can't stand the I don't understand, therefore God claim because, and the like very tired example that I always give is before we understood what fire was, we thought that was a miracle and magic. Yeah. So how can you possibly, in good conscience, say that? How could you possibly say that? It's just so silly.
It is. I don't want to beat up on him too much. I mean, you've got this.
Yeah.
Additionally, throughout the throughout the entirety of humanity, there is not a single miracle, not a single suspension violation of the laws of physics that has ever been confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible track record.
Mm-hmm.
Countless claims of miracles, not one of them has ever been confirmed. There are plenty of things that we don't know, and the people who are advocating for miracles rely on that. Gosh, as Alyssa was saying, we don't know what fire is. We don't know how it works. Now it's magnetism and evidently vaccines and protein and whatever else that RFK Jr. decides he doesn't understand. None of it's a miracle. And even if it were as close to a miracle as you could get, even if, Daniel, Alyssa and I sat here with you and observed something and absolutely confirmed that it was in fact a miracle, that alone would not confirm any other miracle claim now or 2,000 years ago. It would not confirm that Jesus ever did or said anything even remotely miraculous. As a matter of fact, you can't even show that he did or said anything. We just go with that assumption because, you know, I'm not a mythicist because I think mythicists might be asserting a stronger case for non-existence than merely acknowledging, hey, the biggest problem is there's no Christian on the planet that can confirm to a high degree of certainty that Jesus even existed, let alone that they know anything about him, anything he said, anything he did. What we have are stories. And the big question seems to be, to what extent do you believe the stories? To what extent do you believe the reports? And I live in a world, drawing this back to today's subject before we get into the other calls, where we have video footage from multiple angles of a murder, and fully 20 to 30% of the population does not view that as a murder. Given a choice between calling that disparity in an understanding of reality a miracle or the pinnacle of stupidity, I'm still going to lean for the pinnacle of stupidity. But that's close to miraculous that many people can observe a murder and be like, she had it coming, that fucking bitch. If we can't get people to agree on this stuff, the bizarre nature of people trying to claim that, oh yeah, miracles are supposed to happen and Jesus did miracles and he really trusted that Roman centurion and performed a miracle for him, and that's why I'm okay with deism. Yeah, all you did was set up, I don't know what it means to be rational, nor do I really care.
Correct.
Okie doke. We have another theist calling, which is great. So Bill from England, pronouns are she, her. Bill's a theist and says the afterlife is a fact in the Bible. Bill, what do you mean it's a fact in the Bible? I agree that the Bible can be viewed as talking about an afterlife, but does that mean it's real, or do you just mean it's in the Bible?
The afterlife is an absolute fact.
What can you confirm about the afterlife for us?
Can you look on your computer now and type in Katharina? I believe
I can't even understand what you're saying, Bill.
Right. Katharina Hema, which is EHNER.
Katerina. Wow.
Yes.
Katerina Ehner. EHNER.
No, EHNER. Can you type that name in, please, and explain that to me, please?
I typed in Katerina, Katarina, and then EHNER.
No, EHN for Mike Echo Romeo. EMA.
Oh, EHMER.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Anna.
So this is The Death of Anna Katharina Emmer, a case study in terminal lucidity, is the PubMed paper that pops up. What about it? How does this confirm an afterlife?
That proves the soul and the afterlife.
How?
100%.
How?
Can you read it first?
I'm not going to take time to read an entire paper right here, but what I can tell you, because I'm in the middle of a show, what I can say is that what's the date from this study or from this report? So what I can tell you is that studies on reports of an afterlife in no way confirm the existence of an afterlife. They are still just reports of an afterlife. So let's say whatever you think happened to Katerina, how did we rule out delusion or confusion?
Because this poor woman, I believe she lived to about 20, 30 years, and she was completely disabled. She never spoke. She was bedridden for her whole life. And minutes before her death, she started singing, talking, and smiling. Now, how can that be explained by brain chemistry?
So your 100% proof of an afterlife is, how can you explain this unless there's an afterlife? Really? That's a fallacy that is basically called the argument from personal incredulity. You can't imagine any other explanation. Are you an expert in brain? Are you an expert? Are you an expert? Are you an expert? Are you an expert? Are you an expert in anything related to cognitive abilities and impairments? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. What is your degree in?
I got a PhD in neuroscience.
A PhD in neuroscience. When you got your PhD, did you have to spend any time studying logical fallacies at all?
No. That's your claims.
When you got your PhD, did you have to learn proper test procedures so that you could rule out alternate explanations?
I want you to tell me.
I'm sorry. I don't care what you want, Bill. I'm asking you questions because the reality is, the reality is your argument is, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to mute you, Bill, because this is a train wreck getting ready to happen. So here we go. You're muted. Nobody can hear you. Let's say, without reading the study, let's say that Katerina lived to be 26 years old with severe mental deficiencies. And close to her death, she started singing songs for the first time in her life. Let's see, a 26-year-old woman with severe mental disabilities who lived in an institution for people with mental disorders and who had allegedly never spoken a single word during her life, yet she was reported to have sung dying songs for a half an hour before she died. Now, we don't fully understand the brain, but you have somebody who is basically in a particular mental state for their entire life. And shortly before she died, that mental state changed. Your argument, Bill, Jack, she, her, him, whatever, your argument is that because you can't think of any explanation other than an afterlife, and if I can't offer you an explanation for anything other than an afterlife, that means this is 100% confirmation of an afterlife. And not only is that absolutely, completely fallacious with regard to, if you can't give me an alternate explanation, this explanation wins. That's not how logic or reason works. That's a fallacy. But also, there's nothing about that scenario that in any way has anything to do with an afterlife. This is all in this life. How can something purely in this life ever be confirmation of an afterlife? Go ahead. I've unmuted you. You're probably going to have to tap your phone to wake it back up. Come on, ma'am. We're waiting. I guess we're not getting Bill back.
I really wanted to know how many apples make a banana.
Yes.
Oh.
That was the apple banana guy.
Oh.
It's one of those things where, for those who don't know, we get repeat callers. And while it would be very easy for me just to say, there are some people I ban. My Adam dude from Croatia is banned, but he's going to keep calling anyway. I want to give people lots of chances because I'm constantly looking at the options that someone has learned something new, figured out an error from the previous time and has a better understanding, or has come up with new evidence. Instead, what ends up happening is that, unfortunately, horribly confused people often and most likely stay horribly confused.
Yes.
So
that appears to be the case with this guy.
I'm going to read the abstract from this case. It's only a few sentences. Terminal lucidity, the unexpected return of mental clarity and memory shortly before the death of patients suffering from severe psychiatric and neurologic disorders, has raised the curiosity of numerous physicians and laypersons in the past. So this isn't an isolated case. However, this peculiar phenomenon has received little attention in recent decades. In previous publications, we have presented overviews of cases of terminal lucidity in various neurologic and psychiatric disorders. In this article, we highlight terminal lucidity in persons with mental disabilities and focus on one of the most remarkable cases that have been reported. We provide biographical background information about the two principal witnesses who reported this case. It concerns the death of Anna Katerina Emmer, a 26-year-old woman with severe mental disabilities who lived in an institution for people with mental disorders and who had allegedly never spoken a single word during her life. Yet she was reported to have sung dying songs for a half an hour before she died. The case was reported by the head of this institution and by its chief physician. We consider it difficult to evaluate the authenticity of the case definitively in retrospect. Nevertheless, there are similar cases and a variety of other anomalous brain-related findings we consider worth investigating. Studies into such anomalous cases might improve our concepts of human brain function and the mental processing in persons with mental disabilities, and might be of special value for the dying, the bereaved, and caretakers. Right there in the abstract, what do we have? We're going to tell you a story, and this is based on the reports of two witnesses, the head of the institution and one other person. And the abstract reports that it is difficult to verify or to evaluate the authenticity of the case in retrospect. So here we have a report of something we don't understand about someone with a mental disorder experiencing terminal lucidity. It's something that has been reported in other people as well, terminal lucidity being a thing. And so what we have is a report of terminal lucidity that we cannot investigate, that nobody can investigate, that we only have the reports of, that it is difficult to verify the authenticity of. And that is enough for her to claim 100% absolutely the case that there's an afterlife when nothing about that study has anything to do with an afterlife.
Right. I was waiting for the afterlife part. I was like, this is the, at best, this is the kind of thing where when people talk about miracles, and when they just constantly want to give credit for amazing things that nature and human beings are capable of, they constantly want to give credit to God. I'm like, stop doing that. Stop doing that. The only thing that this study may show is that the human brain is amazing, that in the last moments before you die, your brain is capable of doing something so cool, allegedly. That's all that it proved. That's all that it proved. It drives me crazy when people do that. It's like when I watch I don't really watch award shows, but when you see people accept an award and they're like, I'd like to thank God. And I'm like, really? Not the years and years and years of blood, sweat, and tears? Not all of the people that were a part of this production or supported you in all of this? Your talent? Nothing? You're going to thank God? What?
Yep.
Also,
sorry, go ahead, honey.
No, I was just going to add before, because people were commenting this in the chat and stuff about the pronouns. While we do like to go with malicious compliance when known trolls give obviously fraudulent pronouns, we generally try to comply. But also, if somebody's calling in repeatedly with different identities as a known troll, I am not going to force the host or the chat to comply with whichever pronouns are being presented that day. Because this is a known troll. This is not like somebody who is gender fluid and we know that their identity changes on a whim. This is somebody who is actively trying to be fraudulent and trolling.
Yes. I don't know that he's a troll on other things, but he is a gender troll. He's a pronoun troll. This happens a lot. Just like our first caller today, who really, I'm not even convinced he wanted to hit on Alyssa. I'm not even convinced he knew Alyssa was going to be on. It's just that once he got tuned in and got caught being a liar, he's like, oh, let me go ahead and be a douchey liar too.
Yeah.
The reality is, as I explained earlier, asking for people pronouns is just saying, how would you like us to refer to you? It is a chance to treat people with respect. And there's a number of people out there who find all that silly. I don't use any pronouns, a sentence that starts with a pronoun. These people don't know what a pronoun is. They think it's magical rather than a part of speech, and it's grammar, as Alyssa was pointing out in the objection early on, and it's wild. So yes, I guess we should probably make it a little more clear. I think part of it is we have a lot of regulars, and I just assume a good chunk of the people watching have heard this caller before and know about the pronoun trolls and everything else. Thank you, Arden, and I will try to do a better job of doing my explanations. All right, here we go. Deidre's calling from Colorado, pronouns she, her. Deidre's an atheist who wants to talk about being a trans woman in America. How are you?
I'm fairly decent, thanks. Hi, Alyssa. Hi, Arden. You're a queen, if you can hear me. Thanks for having me, Matt.
True. How can we help?
Yeah, let me jump in. First, I'll tell you, like, my best friend is a cis white dude, bald. I don't know how tall you are. He's not as spectacularly eloquent as you, but I love him, and he's just as much of a beast at people, and it's great. Anyway, we're fucking scared. You were saying you wanted to hear from people that are different. I live in Denver. It's been a safe space I've been out almost 11 years now. 2014, Trump came in 2016. That was a little dicey.
Yeah, bad timing on your part.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And yeah, I'm 50 years old now for reference. It's been dicey ever since. But we actually had a trans woman murdered here just this last year. I'd never heard of one in Denver before. But her name was Jack Scruton, and Lakewood Police has totally dropped the ball and not done anything for her. We've done several protests, whatever. But yeah, it's crazy. We're nervous. I don't know what to do. My wife wouldn't even have me work if she could afford it. You said you wanted to hear from people that are different than you. That's basically my day.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Well, I mean, obviously, Arden and I probably deal with this a lot more than other people, so I'm pretty familiar with, at least with what my trans friends are dealing with. Yeah, my joke about bad timing on your part was actually tied to the blame the victim mentality that's going on right now, because they're not only trying to make you a victim, they're trying to blame you for them trying to make you a victim, or them trying to make everything about your life worse. When I don't know about you, but I think almost every trans person I've met would rather just be left the fuck alone. And so you've got this tiny little 1% of the population that has become the only thing anybody seems to want to talk about.
Yeah, between what you just mentioned, being left alone, and the trans agenda is an average lifespan, I guess.
Yeah.
That's all we want. Just stop killing us.
Yeah.
Stop making life harder for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're genuinely sorry to hear that. You're definitely not alone. And by the way, it's a good opportunity for me to remind. I don't know if you've called in before, but tomorrow is the Transatlantic Call-In Show, and it's is it still at 2 p.m. Central tomorrow?
Yes.
I love TACIS. I watch all of you all the time. You're all lovely, wonderful people, and I thank you for doing what you do. I don't want to take up much more of your time because you got a lot more amusing calls to tear down.
Well, Deirdre, before you go, is there anything that you think that we can do more of that continues to be supportive for you? Like, are there blind spots in the way that people are taking care of our trans community that now you have some airtime that you would like to share?
Sure. Generally, what I tell my friends is when you hear them talk about it, stop them, call them out right there in public, embarrass them. They don't know what they're talking about. We know that as well as they do. And just let them know that with everybody around. That's the best thing I've thought of. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm stick and move. I'm in and out. Like, I go to work and I don't really hang out in stores or things like that. I'll do a drive-through when I can. And then I'll go out to trans-friendly spaces sometimes. But pretty much since 2020, my wife and I have been on lockdown.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, just defend us in public. I mean, I have a wonderful life. I have little dogs. I have a wife that loves me. We have a nice house that I bought at a good time. And we're chilling here, but the only other thought I have is going to New Mexico. That's the only state in the union that's codified trans rights, believe that or not.
Wow.
And yeah, it's shitty, ain't it? Yeah, but just defend us in public. That's what I think is the best thing that anybody, in particularly like Matt or Forrest's worldview as being at least white passing, you just tell them, like, they're scared of people that are smart.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Stay strong. And let me tell you, just the one quick line of, the trans agenda is an average lifespan. That everybody needs to hear that.
Yeah. Gives me chills.
Hard to believe that at 50 years old, I'm a trans elder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to make us cry.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Deirdre. I got one more call I want to get to before we get to Super Chats, but we look forward to hearing from you. Please stay safe, if at all possible.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate your time. Take care of each other.
You too.
Thank you, Deirdre.
Give your wife a hug. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Oh, man.
Wow, that was tough to hear, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. Woo, we're fine. Everything's fine.
It's there's been a lot of talk in our house over the last or the entire time that Arden and I have been together. We've been together, wow, 4.5 years. In June, it'll be 5 years that we've been together. And like every time we turn around, anytime there's been optimistic progress, it just absolutely gets demolished and worse. And so we, in addition, for those who don't know, Arden and I also run Epic Loot Exotics. We keep and breed 19 species of snakes and a whole bunch of species of lizards as well. So like crested geckos, we've got crested geckos for sale up at MorphMarket. Go to morphmarket.com and look for Epic Loot, EPIC space LOOT, and you'll find our listing there and you can buy them. We sold a gecko just the other day. I've got to ship it out soon. Anyway, we hadn't been selling online because we had been going to reptile expos around the state of Texas. Sticking fairly close to home, we did shows in Austin and Belton and Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. I'm going to continue doing it. I'm doing an expo in Conroe in a couple weeks, but I'm going by myself. And it's because the state of Texas is no longer safe for my wife. And it's created a scenario where even because she's public, because she's done content, we're waiting for the FBI to reach out and say, take down your content or, whatever the many consequences. I mean, this is the world we live in. It's daily. And yeah, I'm going to go do that expo myself because we now live in a state where if the wrong person who happens to know something sees her walk into the correct restroom, they can then take action. And who knows, they might even get a reward. I mean, we've got bounties put out on people for seeking abortions. We've got bounties put out on people for merely being trans. I thought for a while there was something wrong with me. There's plenty of things wrong with me, for sure. But I thought I lacked empathy because when my grandfather died, I didn't cry. I've had relatives die, but when my grandfather died, I didn't cry. And even when my favorite grandmother died, I don't remember if I cried. I have difficulty crying. When I had heart surgery, they said one of the things you might notice is that you're going to cry more. And it's true. Oh, I was really happy. There were times where I would get really close to crying and I'd get so happy that I was about to cry.
Yeah,
that it would keep me from crying and create this little loop. And I know some of it is baggage from Christianity and baggage from, my parents and big boys don't cry. And you better stop that crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. That type of thing. I know it's in there, but I no longer feel that way at all. I have no problem at all with who I am or anything else. And Arden can tell you, I definitely cry. But it's mild. And more often than not, it's about something beautiful. I'll be listening to some music or seeing some incredible performance or watch some amazing skill that some human has that just blows my mind. How the fuck did they swish on the paper and all of a sudden you have this piece of art that I couldn't have dreamed of, and I can barely draw a stick figure, working really hard at it, and they just whoosh, and here's a glorious thing, and I'm like, it's overwhelming. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe there's something about human interactions that is keeping me from emoting. I went to therapy. I'm still seeing a therapist. I'm doing much better on a number of different things. But I don't tend to get upset enough to cry. But I'm getting closer and closer, and it's happening more and more with stories like Renee's, with stories like Deidre's, with stories like mine and Arden's. And I had this epiphany just yesterday. I know there were Christians in my family. I know there are close relatives of mine who think there's absolutely something wrong with me. Matt lacks empathy. You might be right. I might not have as much empathy as I should have. But I have never experienced, seen, and observed such an overwhelming, blatant, proud lack of empathy as I have from Christians in particular. And the MAGA right, who are gleefully supping the tears of the people that they are accosting. I'm not the one that lacks empathy. I'm here week after week calling this stuff out, trying to have these conversations because I do have empathy. I may not express it the same way everybody else does. I may not come to tears the way everybody else does. But it is you believers and you MAGA hateful people whose emotions are broken, who are bitter little evil fuckheads who think, oh, I had it rough. Everybody else should have it rougher. Nobody should have it easier than me. Why should I care about them? We need to get dudes in dresses out of here. I know what's going to make me cry. Your lack of empathy, your lack of tears, your lack of compassion, your apathy at people being murdered by ICE. I'm going to bawl my eyes out over your inability to give a fuck about the people around you for anything other than using them as a stepping stone, a whipping post, or punishment, right down to forcing them to carry unwanted children to term, forcing them to not pee next to you. You guys are fucking disgusting. And you're the ones that are horribly broken. And while I will forever be pissed off at you for destroying the world that I care about, a little part of me would be grateful for you letting me know that it's not me that's broken, it's you. And you have to live with that every fucking day. And I'm just going to make the best out of whatever shit you hand me. Because I'm not going to give up. Anyway, we've got one more caller left. Josh is an atheist calling. Wow, this is going to be a weird segue. Josh is an atheist calling from Georgia, pronouns are him. Something about religion in the martial arts community. Hi, Josh. I'll apologize in advance for my complete. Well, go ahead. What does
You're totally fine. I've been listening since the first call. You guys are totally good. I actually, on that note, I want to say thank you guys both for doing what you do. I've actually been listening to. Well, I've been listening to Matt Dillahunty for a long time, actually, since like 2012, since I was only like 16. I actually haven't known about Alyssa for very long, but either way, I still just appreciate what both of you do very, very deeply. More people need to know about the show and the kind of things that you guys talk about.
Thanks
so much. So what did you want to address? Because
I'm so curious.
I really wanted to talk about religion in a particular space that I feel like doesn't get very much attention, or not enough attention at least. And that is, as you already saw in reference, the martial arts community, or more specifically, various different martial arts communities. Because I don't know if you guys have ever trained in any martial arts before, or if you know anybody who's ever done more, like boxing or jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or wrestling, anything for that matter. But
when I was in the first grade, I tried to take karate classes. This is a very short thing. When I was in the first grade, I tried to do karate classes, and the day I got there, they were like, okay, so we're going to take your shoes off. And I called my mom and I was like, I'm not doing this, actually. I was like, no one has their shoes on. I got to go. And that was my karate experience.
Yeah, my first martial art was actually taekwondo, which a lot of people get karate and taekwondo mixed up. So those of you out there who do that, no, they are two different things. They come from two completely separate countries and two different time periods. Karate is Japanese, taekwondo is Korean. And karate, I don't remember exactly how, it's only like a couple hundred years old, if I'm not mistaken. But taekwondo dates back like over 3,000 years. So they're very, very different.
Interesting.
No, but taekwondo was my first martial arts experience. I first started training taekwondo back in 2012. So I was 15, getting ready to turn 16. And I didn't really pay much attention to it for a while, but after a while, especially later on in life, like getting into my adult years, getting into boxing and more so into jiu-jitsu, something I was really disturbed to notice is how common not just religion is, but like especially if you look into MMA and jiu-jitsu, I was very disturbed to notice over time how rampant conservative Christianity is. If you look at the UFC in particular, pretty much every big name fighter in there is a big time Trump supporter. And Dana White, the president of the UFC, he's not just a Trump supporter. He's like really close friends with Donald Trump.
Yeah, he's trash.
And a lot of that is because, go ahead, Summer.
No, I'm just saying, yes, I used to watch UFC and I don't anymore, in part because Dana's trash.
Yeah, it fucking sucks too because I still have a lot of respect for the sport of MMA, and I have so many great memories watching UFC. But just knowing the kind of person Donald Trump is, and just knowing the kind of fucked up things that him and his administration are doing to the country, and just knowing that people like him are in support of that, like it's hard for me to not look at people differently when I know that about them. You know what I mean? Like I get that there's people who support him for whatever reason, and some people I can give some extent of the benefit of the doubt, but you know how it is. It's just hard to not change or respect themselves for that.
Yeah, I used to like MMA stuff. I was never a big fan of boxing, but you know the broader MMA stuff. I have DVDs from the early seasons of UFC with Hoist Gracie and others. And you know, I was a fan, and I've always been a wrestling fan. I'm friends with some professional wrestlers, but it's
okay.
I fell out of. I no longer care for fighting. I'm not, you know, I get it. Two people volunteer to go in and beat the shit out of each other, and they're doing it, you know, with training and respect and everything else. I have no more interest in it. And you know, as long as it's consensual, I guess I'm kind of okay. But I also worry, how consensual would it be? How likely are these people to go in and beat the shit out of each other and give each other concussions and, you know, even worse, serious injuries if we weren't making a blood sport out of it where they could make a living? And
not very likely. You know, yeah, good point.
Yeah, you can't really do anything about that because people are going to pay for what they pay for and everything else. But as I fell out of, or I lost interest in watching MMA stuff overall. I still occasionally will watch bits and pieces of things, but between Dana and Joe Rogan, I could not possibly care less for anything going on with MMA stuff. I mean, I am.
Yeah, it sucks. I used to love Joe Rogan's podcast too, but I don't see him the same way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. There's a delay. I'm online friends with Fallon Fox, who becomes the prime example of trans athletes and, you know, damage and all this other stuff.
Okay.
You know, she and I haven't really talked about a lot of it. But I mean, you know, I'm supportive of trans rights, but I don't know. I don't even know what I was going to say about it. It's not worth listening to me because I don't have any expertise. I don't have any interest anymore. But yeah, it's religiosity and I don't know how best to phrase this. We know that a lot of religiosity everywhere in the world is posturing. It is, I'm going to call myself this because that's the club I want to associate with. And the overwhelming majority of Christians haven't read their Bible, don't know what it says, don't know the history of the religion, don't know the problems with the church, could probably bounce from one denomination to another at the drop of a hat. I had a friend who stopped being a Baptist and started being a Catholic because he liked to drink and they let him drink without saying there was something wrong with it. When that's your foundation for determining which religion you're going to be a part of, you and I are nothing alike because my only concern about religions are if they're true.
Sorry, go ahead.
What was it?
Oh, I was just going to say in reference to what you were mentioning about how easily people will just choose a different denomination of Christianity at the drop of a hat. You know, it's interesting you mention that because I actually remember, because I've actually been watching some really old episodes of The Atheist Experience. I actually started watching like 3 years ago. I decided, you know what, I'm going to start watching The Atheist Experience from episode 1 all the way through. And now I'm like over 500, close to 600 episodes through. And recently I was listening to an old episode where Joe Zemecki had called in, one of the very first hosts of the show. And it was it was an episode where you were hosting. And I remember he called in and he was talking about this exact same thing about, and he was talking about, you know, it's so weird how a lot of Christians, they have when it comes to the way that they'll choose, say, a business that they want to go with, like, let's say if you're looking for a contractor to do some kind of modification on your home, you know, you're going to want to look into, say, Google reviews. You're going to want to look into experiences that other customers who have done business with them will have to share. You're going to want to look at photos and videos, perhaps, of previous work that they've done. Maybe you'll want to check and see if they're accredited with the Better Business Bureau. And even after all that effort that you've gone through trying to see if you want to do business with them, even after all that, you might decide, you know what? I'm sorry, you're just not the company that I want to do business with. But when it comes to choosing a church or a religion, they will not go through anywhere near that kind of effort. And the same applies with a martial arts school as well. Like these conservative Christians who will have no problem, or not even just conservative Christians, like mostly any type of Christian really will have no problem just choosing another denomination of Christianity or sometimes even another religion so easily and with so little thought. But when it comes to a business or especially like a martial arts school, you're not going to go just anywhere. What if you end up going to a martial arts school that's run by somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and then they teach you something that can get you killed in a life or death situation? Like, that's crazy. It's crazy the stance that they use for deciding those things.
My favorite martial arts content to watch on YouTube now is not anything tied to any MMA, but about exposing the absolute bullshit woo in
Are you
so
talking
many.
about McDojo Life?
Yeah.
Fuck yes, dude. I love McDojo Life. That is the shit.
Okay.
Sorry, I just got really excited when you mentioned that because McDojo Life is so fucking awesome.
I could tell you got really excited. On that note, though, we're going to wrap this up because I got to get on to super chats, and nobody tuned in expecting to talk about martial arts today. Except Josh.
Yeah, I was hoping we could talk more, but I understand you guys only have so much time. I might call back in a few weeks if that's cool with you guys.
I don't know if I have much more on martial arts, but if you have thoughts on other things, by all means. I appreciate you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, no problem.
That was a nice wholesome end to the day.
It was a, I mean, I can trash talk the martial arts for all the woo stuff and, the masters sitting there and waving their hands and people fall over. It's just like watching Benny Hinn ministry when they're doing their faith healing and he like waves his coat and the entire congregation falls over. This is absolutely psychology.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, do I have the book right here? For years, I've had a book sitting next to my desk, but I moved it. It is Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackey. It was written in the 19th century and went through all sorts of religious experiences where crowds seem to just go along with things. And we know a great deal about this from psychological study. There are tons of experiments about how you can encourage people to do violence that wouldn't have done violence. Or one of my favorites, have a bunch of actors essentially in an elevator. And when somebody gets on the elevator, everybody else in the elevator turns around and faces the back wall. It gets so uncomfortable to be the only one still facing this direction that the number of people who will reflexively turn around and face the back wall with everybody else would knock your socks off.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, because I'm thinking about that exact hypothetical and I'm thinking if I were in an elevator and everyone turned around, first of all, I would be horrified. And then I would also probably turn around and be like, I guess. Okay.
We're getting ready to knock out some super chats, by the way. I see the queue right now. Get your super chats in now. Alyssa and I will keep reading them until we run out of them. As long as they're, I think we're doing it. Is it $10 and over that we're doing again today? Yeah.
Yep.
Is that right?
$10 and over.
Sweet. I will start because the first one, as is all very frequently the case, but not always the case, almost, is Greg Markowski. And thank you again, Greg. Your constant support here has been, when we talked, it doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm very grateful. Get to hear the show live this week. Hey, well, there you go. Hope you're still live. Hope the ice didn't find you while you were.
Oh, God.
Fucking bitch.
Oh, thanks, Greg.
It is absolutely. I have to laugh, or I think maybe that's what I do that keeps me from crying.
Oh my God, yes. $10 from the atheist mechanic. So a sitting president can just get away with telling a factory worker to go F himself and flip him off after accurately being called a pedophile protector. Weird / sad world we're living in. Yeah, I saw that this morning.
I haven't seen it, but I will say, and this is probably me picking nits. I absolutely think a sitting president should get away with telling someone to fuck off or flipping them off. It is wild that we are in that world now where, once upon a time, being presidential wouldn't have included that. But I'm actually encouraged. The number of elected officials who are now flatly saying, get the fuck out of my town, dropping F-bombs left, right. Good. Talk like grown-ups. Stop pretending like, oh, we need to maintain decorum. Decorum left the fucking building in 2016. And it is so far away now that you have no hope of getting it back. This is a part of the problem with the Democrats. Well, Chuck Schumer needs to fucking go right away. Just quit right now, Chuck. You are absolutely useless. You are garbage. You're not doing anything. I watched damn. Sam and Emma on Majority Report basically saying that his whole thing right now is he's the kid on the field that doesn't want them to throw the ball to him. And they're completely right. He's not doing anything. There's a reason I'm not a Democrat, but there's also a reason why I end up supporting Democrats because they're at least closer to me than MAGA.
Right.
Once or twice, Marjorie Taylor Greene was more in agreement with me than a number of the Democrats. And I'm like, how the fuck is that possible?
So we live in the upside down.
I hope she gets investigated thoroughly to make sure that she's not guilty of insider trading like all the rest of them probably are. All of these people who had a net worth of a couple $100,000, and they partially owned their home, they come to fucking Congress for 5 years, they get a life pension after it, and now they're worth $5 or $10 million based on stock trading for things that they had a hand in fucking and changing.
I still can't believe that if you are a politician, you can participate in the stock market. That is like one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life.
But also, it's a strange world, atheist mechanic, where somebody can correctly identify that the president is protecting, if not also among, a bunch of child abusers. I'm trying to be cautious about which. So, side note, Seth Andrews' channel, The Thinking Atheist, got deleted just the other day. It's back up as of today. There were plenty of people who went and reported to YouTube saying, hey, fix this. We don't know what it was. It got shut down for being a scam. It has been restored. That was the last word I got about it. But
I can't believe that. I mean, I can because of everything that's happening, but
we're also hearing about creators supposedly getting letters from the FBI with stuff shut down. The current administration wants to label me and Alyssa and Arden and most everybody here at the line. We're all violent domestic extremist terrorists because we're okay with queer people. How dare we? That. It is wild. So yeah, they're correctly calling out that he's protecting people who are trafficking children, and he's going to flip them off. Well, I think he could shoot someone on Fifth Street and still remain president for the rest of his term and face no consequences. I think he could. $10 from Joshua Everett. I like to remind Christians there are nothing that they would recognize as pants in the Bible.
Oh, yeah, because they were all wearing sort of like roby things.
Okay. On another note, well, it doesn't. On another note, the fascism will continue and get worse until it becomes too costly for the fascists. Yes, that 100%. There has to be consequences. There has to be someone holding them accountable. If nobody's going to hold you accountable. So I had a debate against Abdu Murray in Lubbock, Texas, on God-given rights. And the nutshell is there's no such thing. Rights are what we guarantee, and it is absurd to say that you have a right that no one is guaranteeing. It's not absurd to say you should have a right that isn't being guaranteed, but say, I have that right. No, you fucking don't. You have whatever rights the people in charge say you do. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because those rights have been granted, those rights have been taken away. And if they're not protecting them, then you're not talking about rights you have. You're talking about rights you should have. And when you think you should have them because they're granted to you by God rather than the people around you, you have no plan and no possibility and no hope of getting those rights. But for those of us who recognize that we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, have established this Constitution of the United States. We, the people, is where the power are. That's where your rights come from. And so it's up to us. You want to get abortion rights back? We, the fucking people. You want to get trans folks back in the military? We, the fucking people. You want to make sure that queer people can continue to get married? We, the people. You want to make sure that ICE can't go door to door and pull people out with no due process and just suspicion? We, the people. You want to make sure that somebody can't say, dude, I'm not mad at you, and 30 seconds later gets shot in the face by a weak, fragile little bitch? We, the people. We have to stand up, get the fuck out of our city. My favorite video, despite the fact that there was an active threat of violence in there, I'm done. I'm not going to be like, ooh, I wish he hadn't said I'd beat your ass if you didn't have a badge. I don't care. He's basically saying, if you put down your badge and don't try to use that against me, I will fuck you up if you want. Come on. It's not a threat against law enforcement. It's a threat against an awful human being saying the only thing that is keeping you in that position of power is your badge and your gun. Put those down, and you want to come at me, I will fuck you up. I have no interest in physical violence, but it's going to happen. And it's going to happen big time, and it's going to start happening right away. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
They're killing people. They're violating our actual rights. You have rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution and the body of legal precedent in this country, and they're being ignored because the people in power don't fucking care. There's nobody to hold them accountable. If we, the people, don't do it, then the court has to do it. Courts failed. We lost the Supreme Court. We've lost the courts pretty much by and large. There's still fights and skirmishes going back and forth. What's left? Civil war? What would a civil war look like in this century?
I mean, I think probably more, at first I thought, okay, well, it probably would be like kind of scrappy. I feel like no one is like prepared for that anymore. But then I think about what January 6th looked like. And I think about what some of the like MAGA protesting style looks like, and it would look like a fucking war because of them, the peaceful right that doesn't ever incite political violence.
Well, maybe if we weren't celebrating peace prizes given out by soccer organizations,
right,
and focused instead on actual peace and actual international law, that international law that Trump says he doesn't need, doesn't care about. The only thing that stops him from doing something is his morality. The grab him by the pussy, I'm going to walk into teenagers' dressing rooms because I own the competition. I'm going to cheat on every one of my wives. That guy, it's his personal moral compass is the only thing restraining him, and he doesn't need international law. We are beyond fucked. We are absolutely beyond fucked. And what I don't understand is how self-professed Christians, like the Christians I grew up with at First Baptist Church of Harvester, at Gashland Baptist Church, who the fuck are you people sitting back, not objecting just to this philandering, child rapist, child trafficking protector, billionaire, lying, cheating, vile individual. How are you not objecting to him? What is Christ like? Don't get me wrong. I'm not impressed by Jesus. I got over that a long time ago. But for those of you who are still pretending that there's some sort of fucking real morality there, that there's some sort of compassion there, that there's some sort of, I care about the people in this world, and I'm not only focused on getting to the next life, and I'm not only focused on backing everything Israel does so we can usher in the end times. Those of you who actually give a shit about actual morals and think you have them, you better stand the fuck up right now and show that you have them, because if not, you're complicit. I am morally superior to your Bible. I am morally superior to your God. I am morally superior to your Jesus. And I'm probably morally superior to almost every one of you, because I'm not going to sit idly by and allow murder, rape, corruption, fascism to go unchallenged. You guys are a fraud. You're not defending your beliefs. You're not doing anything on behalf of your beliefs. You're not protecting people. You're not doing anything good. You're just sitting there going, well, everything's happening according to God's plan. And I just love everybody. I'm just going to let God figure it out. And, I don't like Trump. Trump's not a good guy, but he's so much better than the people on the left, those abortion baby killing people. Oh my goodness. You're voted against your own self-interest. You keep licking those boots. Maybe they'll kill you less. Maybe they'll kill you last. And then after they kill you, hopefully your spouse won't hear them call you a fucking bitch. What will they call you when they kill you? What will they call you when they come for you? I'm going to call you garbage. I'm going to call you a basket of deplorables. Because you are.
I think about the amount of times that we've had calls where people will say that the reason why we need people need to believe in the Bible is because it gives you a moral compass. Where else do you get your moral and ethical code from? Where the fuck is your moral and ethical code now? You seem really silent after a person got murdered on camera. And then the person who murdered her called her a fucking bitch. This is the moral code that you think that I should be subscribing to? Be so fucking serious. Yep.
One of the most common things is, what if that was your mom? What if that was your sister? But you know what?
It doesn't need to be.
It's embarrassing that message is the only thing that will resonate with some of you, that you cannot have any empathy or compassion unless you know somebody.
Right.
$10 from the atheist mechanic. ICE going door to door. Did they not take into account castle doctrine? There's going to be ICE killings. There's going to be people at home standing their ground against these door-to-door people trying to rush, and it's going to be awful. It's going to be wrong. It's going to be, it is nothing that any of us should be necessarily in favor of, but it's absolutely getting ready to start happening. And I'm willing to bet it's January 14th. I'm willing to bet before Groundhog Day, there's serious violence directed towards ICE if they start going door to door.
I mean, haven't they already started doing that? I saw a video of them going to a woman's door in Minnesota and literally busting it down. That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
Yep. I'm going to do this one real quick. $10 from Papa Bear 5. Note, USPS changed the postmark rules on December 24th, so most would miss it. Make your vote count, vote in person, use early voting, stand in line for a postmark or mail-in weeks early. I have no idea what you're actually referencing, and that's embarrassing to me, but I don't know this.
They changed it where it used to be the case that as long as it was postmarked before the deadline to count the vote, that even if it arrived several days later, it would still count. That is no longer the case. It has to arrive as the votes, before the votes are being counted, or as votes are being counted to count.
Vote early But
Yeah,
don't
voter.
vote often because that's illegal.
$10 from Sherman Bay. ICE recruits the same way as Headley Lamar. I don't know who that is, but yeah, girl.
I'm not gonna explain the reference. You guys can go look it up, because us old people should have some things that we can snicker about. and then because you get like Arden will mention something and I'll be like, I have no idea what that is. A lot of my younger friends will mention it. However, I am up on a lot of new things. I'm a huge Chapel Roan fan.
Love.
Huge K-pop Demon Hunters fan. Sabrina Carpenter. Basically, if there's a badass singing woman, hell yeah.
Me too.
There's a couple of exceptions, but anyway,
Me too.
good stuff.
I don't know if this is me or you, but I'll take it. $10 from Daniel Slack 83. Christianity is only good if you remove Jesus's death from the religion. I don't know.
I think you'd have to remove quite a bit more than that, but point
Yeah.
taken. $10 from Bobby Keniston. I think Joshua is what is known as the anti-lubricant. If you could bottle Joshua, you could sell him with the slogan, ladies, do you want to be as dry as the Sahara? Buy bottled Joshua.
Oh my God, that's really funny. Oh, Bobby, I haven't seen your name pop up in a while. Good to see you, bud.
Thanks, Bobby.
$10 from Joshua Everett. Oh, wait.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry. I meant to add that to queue and I hit send.
It's okay.
It's all right.
I'm so
I can
sorry.
put it back. I have that power.
Kyle, you could be punched 100 times in the deek. Ha, funny. Anytime you walk outside, understanding that you still walked outside. Did you consent? Thank you. Another great analogy.
Yep. But, people just won't do it once you tell them that they're going to be facing consequences. $10 from Space Barbarian. I have dreamed that one day none of these callers' opinions will have any effect on our lives. I have a dream. Yeah. I'm glad that the overwhelming majority of these people are never going to be able to affect policy in a serious way, other than the fact that they are consistent with the people who are voting and impacting policy now.
Yeah.
The fact that, Kyle don't know shit about the subject, it's not going to keep him from voting as if he does.
Yeah. $10 from God's Sinner. Something about Matt going off on people makes me feel very flushed. I laugh so hard. I don't know how y'all deal with these callers. Vile bile. That was a terrible thing to do to a person. Vile bile. Thoughts.
Vile Kyle.
Vile Kyle. Love chat and y'all from Cara Kell.
Do I make you horny, baby? Is that what very flushed means when I go off on people?
Oh my God. Oh, now I'm gonna watch that movie later.
$10 from Blue Lear. Thanks for all you do, you guys. Or thanks for all you do, guys. You're the best. Thank you very much. Actually, you're the best, because all of you who are watching, participating, sharing, liking, subscribing, joining the channel, super chatting, everything that allows us to make sure that we are getting the signal out in a world that is absolutely dead set on shutting us down. You guys are the best. Otherwise, without you, I'm just some dude sitting in his room talking to himself, which is probably going to happen someday. I find that a little bit funny.
$9.99 from Yesterday in Gaming. Thank you sincerely for the service you provide here. Every person, regardless of belief, should respect the pursuit of truth and the courage it takes to facilitate that. You all genuinely care. Thank you so much.
Fanbox from Detroit Atheist Queen. Hey there. I just want to say I appreciated this episode so much. Thanks so much for speaking out for those who can't. Little things mean so much. People ask me why I keep doing this after so many years, and it's because I don't know how to not do it. I take no credit. My brain is not wired where I can be apathetic to injustice. It's something that's probably broken about me in the best way possible.
10 Canadian dollars from Pureform42. Wonderful show. Thank you both and the wonderful team. Also, 6 times 7 equals 70 equals 42. Therefore, Sky Wizard, Science, and Logic. Mic drop.
I have no rebuttal to that.
Yeah, and I've always said that.
$10 from Fiona the Foxy. Is a trans Minnesotan. I've already been detained and actively intimidated. What gives ICE the right to look up my address? I'm so sorry. I thought that said look up my address at first. And I was like, whoa.
That too.
It's going to happen. Look up my address and show up to my doorstep because I was not nice to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so sorry. So horrifying.
Sue.
Yeah. $10 from Jamnik06. My mom signed me and my brothers up with the Christian Karate Association when we were in grade school. The sensei was the father of my first crush, cute blonde girl. He paired us up to spar. She kicked me in the chest, knocked the air out of me, then made fun of me the next day at school. Not sure why I had issues with self-confidence and dating for the next 20 years. Hashtag hi Stan, hashtag blech. That is so funny. And it's also the fact that it stuck with you for this long is brutal. I'm so sorry. But thank you for the super chat. That was very nice. And
Thanks,
the story
Jamnik.
was very funny.
Whoops, I clicked send. What's going on? Oh, there it goes. A little slow. $10 from, oh, here we go. Alyssa Silverbow. I'm going to bet there's a pun. What is MAGA's favorite letter? Not C.
Nice.
What do you call a MAGA who lost their glasses? A not C. What do you call MAGA? Well, you get it. Love seeing two of my fave hosts together. Hashtag you're gay, homie. Hashtag don't apologize to him.
Yay. Thanks you, Alyssa. That's awesome. $10 for Mr. Boricua. 10. Quite the show. Joshua, not even on my worst night. I'm above you and too expensive for you. Creep. Kyle, disgusting, dismal, dismissive, and downright hypocritical. Josh, way to end the show with hype. Yeah, Josh was so excited.
It fixed my mood.
Yeah.
Even though I mean, no offense. I don't really care that much about religiosity and martial arts, but it definitely fixed my mood. So
yeah,
good job. $10 from Jamium. Justice for Jack's Denver ally. What did I miss? What did I miss for the Justice for Jack's?
I don't know. I'm not sure what that is.
The trans caller was from Denver, I think, but her name was Deirdre.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was Deirdre.
I don't know who Jax is in this case.
I don't know.
Okay. I'm sorry, but since I'm a fan of justice for everyone, definitely justice for Jax too. Hey, I want justice for Trump. I want justice for Trump so bad, I almost got an erection just thinking about it. It's really, really time for there to be so much more justice. Let's bring more justice to this world. Let everybody get what they deserve just for a week. And then you can go back to some favoritism for a little while if you want, just so that we don't get complacent. And then we'll just have justice.
It looks like on Google, Jax referred to a trans hairstylist found dead in Denver in June of 2025. So that might have been what Deirdre was referring to.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well then, yes, justice for Jax. That is terrible. $10 from Epic Stories from History. Love you guys. Fuck maggots. Fuck ICE. And fuck that creepy Joshua troll. Couldn't have said it better myself.
As I get older, I worry about, losing my mind. And losing memory is one of the things. Obviously, I don't remember all the things I used to. I am more forgetful than I used to be. It's very frustrating to have something you want to say, and being a public speaker and having some difficulty coming up with words, because that was something I never had any difficulty with. And, don't get me wrong, I'm not decrepit yet. I can take care of the people that call into this show with, half unconscious probably. But I probably heard that story about Jax and probably
Yeah.
even talked about it at some point. But we live in a world where that's happening multiple times a day. There is too much to keep up with. There are too many people slaughtered, arrested, deported. Too many to keep up with. It's the same thing with school shootings. Hey, you know what we haven't had? I don't know when the last school shooting was. Oh, wait, there might have been one in the last couple of weeks, and we just didn't hear about it because we're too busy dealing with Venezuela and the Epstein files and ICE. And it is an absolute flood the zone strategy. Give them so much that's wrong that they won't know what to. It's impossible to triage. War zones are incredibly difficult to triage. Because if there's a parade of individuals laying down wounded, you don't have the luxury of evaluating all of them, putting them in a categorized list of emergent need, and then treating from the most need down. You have to also assess what the likelihood of survival is. And if there are 6 people here that you've got to worry about treating, and there's 10 people, 500 yards down that way, you have to consider, if I even walk that 500 yards to start evaluating those people, how many of these people are going to die? War is what we're in, and it's impossible to triage. So my apologies for not remembering Jax, but who can? That's the saddest thing, that we're in a world, so much is fucked up. So many people are dying. So many people are victims. You can't keep up with it. Does anybody know when the last school shooting was? I don't know. It might have been today. I bet there's been one in the last week.
There's a super chat that we're going to get later about how there was another shooting that happened less than an hour ago.
Oh.
So.
Wow.
That's good.
Can I tell you how terrible it feels to be so good at predicting the obvious? I fucking hate this timeline. We got to fix these incursions and get back to the good one. $10 from SJL. I have to assume Seth got shut down due to his I hate Donald Trump video. Free speech absolutist, my hairy ass. I don't know what the actual thing was. There were some people that suspected it was that. There were also some people suspected that there are some hacks where people are taking over accounts in order to get them shut down, but we don't know. And I talked to Seth on the phone shortly after he discovered it and started working on it. He texted me today when it came back up, but I haven't spoken to him about the details. I'm just happy his channel's back. And by the way, it's a good opportunity. I posted a quick video. Because of what happened to Seth, because of the trolls, because of the bot armies, and because of our government, I make almost all of my money off of YouTube between the line and my personal channel. And my personal channel has 200 and, I don't know, maybe around 220,000 subscribers or something like that. So it's not huge, but it's good size. And it's actually bigger than the line, even though the line does better. I just post my 4 videos a month. I'm going to be doing more live content this year on my channel, but I will also be setting up a backup channel. And so go out, like and subscribe to the line, like and subscribe to all of Alyssa's stuff, like and subscribe to all my stuff, but pay attention, because there's going to be videos posted saying, hey, here are the backup channels. Please go subscribe to those. Because if they shut us down, not only are we not able to get the word out, but I'm destitute and headed to Walmart to become a greeter for sure.
Oh, no. I feel like you would hate that job.
I would, don't get me wrong, I would do something else first. I am in the middle of putting together the best magic show I've ever done. And I'll be performing it and recording it. Although I may make the recording available, but also if it turns out as good as I'm hoping it does, I might make some postings for other organizations to book me to come out and do that.
Ooh, that's fun.
It's not cheap because a 90-minute stage show with props is a lot. But my shows tend to be a mix of fun and teaching and using magic to learn about skepticism, to have wonder and mystery without appealing to the supernatural. When I pretend to read minds on stage, I acknowledge that I'm pretending. And as far as I can tell, so is everybody else. And I'm way better at it than the people who pretend that they're not pretending.
Well, I'm excited for the show. Keep us updated.
Sweet. $10 from Sapphic Hazard. LOL, my previous attempt was below threshold. Can we show off a pet animal friend so one of our chatlings can get a bingo? Thank you.
Yes, I have Bonnie prepared for exactly this moment.
Awesome. Hi, Bonnie.
Did you hear her growl at me? You know, my other dog really is my birthed child, and Bonnie, I've been saying, is really more like my coworker. You know, that's the vibe that we have. Also, I think it's so funny that you guys are doing bingo. I didn't know that. Is this new that you guys are doing bingo?
I think they've been doing it in the Discord for quite some time. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, that's so fun. I love that.
I could show you a snake.
Don't, because
but I'm not.
Yeah, Mabel will freak out.
We're trying to finish this, and so it should be obvious that's a green screen, and it is like I can reach it right now. Now I'm touching it. 6 inches behind that green screen is a large concrete with the dog that we're fostering and probably going to adopt. She's been back there the entire show. She is great in her crate. Hasn't made a peep. And I'm not going to pull her out and show you. But someday, by the way, she's incredibly smart. She is learning the training stuff really quickly. There are a few things that we've got to fix because we have a cat and, you know, we raise rodents and reptiles, and it's a lot for a sort of hunting hound dog to not be reactive. But we've only had her a few days, and she's already making, like, she's 3 years old, and somebody definitely taught her some stuff. But I kid you not, Arden was teaching her leave it last night, and it took, 20, 30 minutes, and she had it pretty good, and we built from there.
Yeah, it was about 30 minutes. I mean, I just watched the video and did what that lady did, and she immediately was like, oh yeah, I get what's going on.
She's incredibly eager to please. And right now, the only problems are how she reacts to kids and dogs. She wants to go play with everybody, but her way, because she's on a leash when we're out, it is bark, 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 and pull on the leash. And right now, even saying leave it isn't enough, but it'll take weeks. But I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident we can get her there. But she's the most pretty dog. Yeah. She's the most pretty dog.
Meanwhile, Bonnie, by the way, is doing laps around this table because she's a friggin' terrorist and I'm late giving her dinner. So she's just going to keep tip-tapping around this table until I do it. $10 from Fiona the Foxy. By the way, Matt, my PT test during whatever that is was push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. Run didn't happen. Also, VA combat vet that the VA has forsaken because I should pay for my gender on my own dime. Right.
Yeah. I had to mute I play EverQuest again after 20 years of not playing it. And the guild that I'm in, I don't get to decide what people talk about, and people can express their own opinions, but that's my downtime. So if I'm sitting there and listening to raid chat in Discord and you come in to talk to intentionally misgender your nephew, and talk about how he had California pay to remove his breasts under the auspices that he had the gene that could have led to breast cancer, And you'd kind of be okay with that because that might be preventative. But really, he just wanted to be a dude, and he no longer. And then you dead name it. I am absolutely 100% muting you. And if I don't hear something important you say to the raid, tough. I'm not going to tell you can't say it in guild chat because it's a big guild and I don't get to decide what other people do. But holy crap, this is how bad the trans derangement syndrome has gotten, that you can't even sit there and play a fucking game of EverQuest without some rando whining about how his nephew managed to get some gender affirming care. My gosh, how will we ever beat this boss without that knowledge and information? I'm just absolutely livid at these fucking bigoted dipshits. $10 from Kayla Albertson. I'm 15 minutes from Minneapolis. Someone I know who's a U.S. citizen was detained by ICE for 3 hours at a cub, or maybe a club, a mile from my house. It's a very scary time. Yeah.
She's growling at me now.
Really?
Yeah. Little terrorist. Anyway.
Might I recommend some treats?
I'm doing it. $10 from Richie. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate what you guys do, and it feels great to have a show with people who talk sense and encourage you to learn and do research. More people need to know about the line.
Amen.
Which caller was Richie? I wonder. Right? I don't think we had someone whose name was Richie on the log. But
well, maybe they'll speak up and we'll know. Kayla Albertson again. Thank you again. Wallace put the National Guard on standby. I think he needs to send them to protect Minnesotans. Others have mentioned that would be the start of a civil war. Thoughts? I'm not ready to give thoughts on that specifically yet. First of all, not a lawyer, not a legal expert. I've looked into this, and granted, I'm comfortable saying I know more about the law in all of these areas than any dipshit that has ever fucking called a show to argue with me about it. And it's not even fucking close. The nice thing is that I have friends like Andrew Seidel who do know the law. And I have friends who are in law enforcement who do know the law. And I am listening to the best experts. But as far as what walls limits are going to be, and when you have conflicts between the federal government and states, it's very difficult because there's what the law is, what the law should be based on the Constitution, and what I would prefer. Because, sorry, I don't give a fuck about states' rights. I don't think there should be states' rights. If you're the United States, you should fucking be united. People shouldn't be married in one state and not in another. People shouldn't have rights in one state and not in another. That just makes no sense to me. And if you're going to allow the states to police themselves and have sovereignty, you can't just let the states whose governors agree with you have those rights while you deny it to other people. But yes, I would not be surprised if some version of some kind of civil war is actually coming. I hope not, but it won't be surprising at all.
$10 from Norflorb, Thank you for the $10. My new comeback is, are you lying to yourself or just to me? Ooh, that's good.
That is good. That. I have changed the way, like, for example, I haven't paid any attention to chat really throughout the show. And I don't think I made any comments in chat today. I've made a number of different changes because I get trolled all day long. A lot of them by bots or trolls or fans or alternate versions of the guy who can't open a jar. And what I've taken to doing, because it's engagement and it drives up attention, I just reply with, thank you for your attention to this matter. Doesn't matter what it is. If they call me a faggot, if they, you're gay, why don't you admit it? And if they misgender somebody, anything, I don't care. It's thank you for your attention to this matter.
Love.
You know why? Because I fucking won. You're calling my show. You're commenting on my channel. You're coming after me. I don't even know who the fuck you are. And you know what else? I don't care. I won. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love it. Well put.
Just did that just now. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to get a t-shirt. That's going to be the cup next year.
Oh my gosh. $9.99 from the Yossarian Press. Another shooting has occurred less than an hour ago. So saying before. Matt, how has politics changed in the last 20 to 10 years? Could you see this coming? Do you think this gets worse or better? How is this just Trump?
Politics now is nothing like it was when I grew up. I was apathetic towards a lot of it, but there was at least a lot more compromise and decorum, and there was at least respect for the rule of law, and legal precedent. All of that has gone out the window. I could not see it coming until it was too late. As a matter of fact, it sounded preposterous. I had to apologize to Beth, my ex-wife, because I told her she was ridiculous, thinking that Roe could ever be overturned. It's established precedent. All they can do is trap laws and stuff like that. They're never going to overturn it. I had to send an apology message because I was fucking wrong and she was dead fucking right. And so was everybody else who saw it coming. Whether or not they had enough reason to be right doesn't even fucking matter anymore. Do I think this gets worse or better? Oh, worse. Significantly worse. And no, it's not just Trump. Trump is the tool that the Christo-fascists, racists, and other nations are using because he's incredibly stupid and vain. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't understand anything. All you have to do is put on a glove and give him a hand job, evidently, and tell him he's a good boy, and we're going to give you a special Soccer Peace Prize trophy, and we're going to let you pretend to be the president of Venezuela, too. All you got to do is keep sucking him up and let him build a golden ballroom, and he'll do whatever the fuck you want. Because he is an absolute tool. And so Trump is not the danger. Trump is what the danger is using. The cult of personality who are too ill-informed, misinformed, and or completely stupid and devoid of interest in the truth or compassion, empathy, the law. They just want other people to suffer. And a lot of them are just mad that a black man was president.
Yeah. Crazy.
$10 from Idle Bits. Thank you both for a great show. Stay safe. Also, why was C afraid of all the other letters? All of them were not C's. Nice.
Nice. $10 from the Atheist Mechanic. There are differing fandoms joining in on the F ICE train. The current comic book artist for the Transformers drew Optimus Prime shielding people from ICE agents. That is the leadership we need.
True.
That's cool.
Although I did hear that there's a new trans superhero that the trans folks, the trans community pretty much hate. She's like the granddaughter of Ra's al Ghul.
Yes. It's awful.
And
I hate it
they
so
went
much.
completely stereotypical with colors and outfit and ooh woo this, and it's like this is a granddaughter that Ra's al Ghul would disown, and not because they're trans.
Yeah, no, Ra's al Ghul would accept a trans granddaughter, but not one that is so frail like this person. What kind of superhero? I mean, honestly, like, I saw one person say this, so I'm totally stealing it, but like the only thing, and this might not mean anything to you too, but the only thing that she's missing is a Blahai, which is like the IKEA shark that was like a trans meme for a long time. She's got knee-high socks, a short skirt, and wears all pink, blue, and white. It is like a borderline offensive stereotype, honestly.
Yikes.
That is wild. You know, I'm a big Marvel Cinematic Universe fan and like superhero stuff. Not as big on those comics. Like I grew up with a weird mix of comics, but I wasn't like my favorite, or the comic that I read the most, and I have the entire box set of, is ElfQuest. And so, and that was just because when I was in the Navy, a friend of mine introduced me, said, give this a shot. You might like it. And I did, but I didn't follow a lot of the superhero stuff other than the movies. I have some of them. I liked, I like kind of the meta stuff, like, you'd find a Watchmen. But how wild is it that superheroes have taken over the world, and now we've got a trans superhero, and the trans community, despite the reality that they suffer through on a regular basis, is no longer, and rightly so, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, they're no longer willing to just have representation. Like once upon a time, it's like, oh my God, there's a gay superhero, there's a gay this, there's a trans this. At least we've got some representation. And now we've moved to where the representation needs to be more than just, oh, we mentioned somebody's queer. It needs to be something that we're proud of. And eventually, I want to get to the point where there are trans superheroes and trans supervillains, and we're happy with all of them because we don't give a fuck if anybody's trans. How hard is that? But, what do I know? I'm just some cis dude. $10 from Alyssa Silverville. Matt, come to Final Fantasy 14. No, thanks. We're really friendly. Also, if you get on the FanFreet server, you can join my FC guild. No, thanks, but genuinely thanks. I'm playing this, and I don't plan to play anything else right now. And if I switch, who knows what I'll switch to? But yeah, it ain't happening today. But I appreciate that. So first of all, that's the last super chat, unless somebody gets one in while I'm wrapping this stuff up. Huge thank you to Alyssa. I genuinely can't wait to do another show with you whenever we can.
Me too. I love doing shows with you.
And you need to come down and hang out, because we have the gift for you, and you would get to meet our pup, assuming we get to keep the pup, and all the snakes and everything else. But mainly just, we loved hanging out with you last time you were down here, so come back.
Also, I told Arden this at some point, but my fiance has watched you on YouTube for ever, and I didn't know that until we went to dinner not that long ago with one of his childhood friends, and I had to do, I think I was just explaining something about the line or whatever. And he was like, oh, Matt Dillahunty, we used to watch him all the time. And he was like, oh yeah, Matt. I was like, shut up. This is so weird. I had no idea.
Well,
so now we have to bring Kevin so he can meet you.
Definitely.
We'll hang out.
We can hang out. We can get some good food. We can, I don't know. We'll go to Esther's Follies. Anyway, instead of us just finishing this show by arranging a play date with me and Arden, listen, Kevin, huge thank you to all of you for tuning in. Super chats or not, subscribe or not, the participation is essential. And when Seth's channel got down, we take that seriously. We're glad that he's back up. We're going to do everything we can to maintain the security of this channel, of my channel, and have backups and everything ready. We, the people, have a lot of work to do. And the people who are standing in our way and creating distractions and creating excuses and justifying injustice, or I guess I should say attempting and failing to justify injustice, they got a wake-up call coming. This shit has to stop. We have to put not just America, the world, back on a track of compassion, empathy, justice. And if you can't do that, then might I at least plead with you to shut the fuck up and mind your own fucking business and leave the rest of us alone. Be a shitty, bitter little hag off on your own. And don't worry about who's peeing where or who's wearing what. All you're doing is showing everybody how sad and miserable you are. You know, I recommend the Secular Therapy Project, therapy in general. I recommend Recovering from Religion. And by the way, if this stuff is tied to sex stuff, you might reach out to a sex coach or sex therapist to see if you can find some way to get joy in your life. I know one. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget about the Transatlantic Call-In Show tomorrow, as well as all the other shows coming up this weekend on The Line. And The Line has a podcast, patreon.com/calltheline, line merch so that you can pick up mugs and stuff. But by all means, tune in and spread the word. That's the only way we're going to get out of this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Matt. This was so fun. Thanks, Arden.
My pleasure. You want to take over?
Screening.